Let's see if I can do one take. I up last week. Welcome to another episode of The Stream Room. This week, we're going to be talking about some Twitch myths. You think they're real, but in fact, they're not real at all. But we are the Digital Buskers, and this podcast is about content creation by content creators for content.
You suck, dude. You suck.
You got so close.
This is a two-take Jake. This man has never performed in his life.
Just keep going.
I'm going to go from here.
Okay.
This podcast is about content creation by content creators for content creators. I am one of your hosts, Reapz.
Hello, I'm Eljay.
And I'm Nick Tacular. Hello, everyone. We're here for another week. What's up, boys? How you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. It is currently bucketing down, though. If you don't know, I'm in Sydney, and there has been La Nina and lots of floods happening, as may have happened to other co-hosts here. But yeah, I'm dealing with it now.
It's flowing down. We had it for the last couple of weeks, and now it's down where you guys are. I got the sun out today, yesterday, and today were the first official sunny days for me, which are good. But I'll be honest, kind of missed some of that rain. Not all of it. Wish probably there was less water flooding up into the house.
Sure.
Don't like waking up at 3 a.m. with the rain coming through the front door, even though it's closed. But you know what? It's fine. It's all right. You know, I'm glad the sun's out, but the guns are firmly
staying in
holstered
today. Yeah.
I don't feel like getting sunburnt, which is weird. Can I say that as a streamer? I'm gonna throw it out there. I love the sun, but also gonna throw it out there. Why is it in Australia that the moment I go outside, I'm dead? I'm just burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think people who are listening internationally need to know is that our ozone layer is completely gone above Australia. They're like, Australia, screw you. Nothing, you get no kind of protection. You're just going to get, melanoma. Enjoy that.
It's
Have
the
fun.
worst.
Yeah. I'm actually, I don't know. I think it's my Mediterranean blood. Like I rarely get sunburnt. And the other day, my mum saw like the back of my neck and she's like, wait, that looks really dark. She's like, did you get sunburnt? I was like, no, what? Did I? Apparently I didn't. I just didn't notice. So
Yeah.
I like that just then, for the audio listeners, while Nick was explaining that, he was trying to turn his head around to look at the back of his neck. But hey, today, as Reap said, I believe, we're going to be talking about some Twitch myths. But before we get into all of that, I got to throw it out there. If you guys want to, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing on whatever platform you're on. And consider checking these boys out while they're live as well, of course, because all these things help us out in the algorithm. And we're a new channel, new podcast, new content. I know it doesn't seem like it. It seems like we're old friends.
Yeah.
But it really helps us out just to get started like that. And also, we're going to be answering your questions at the end of this because you guys came with some great follow-up questions. I think the questions might be part of my favorite sections for the podcast at the moment.
Last week, I was thinking about them as well. I was like, what would I do in that situation? I gave that response, but would I do anything differently? It was nice. It was nice to think about.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's one of the reasons, like, I've said this a lot, but like, one of the reasons why I originally started doing the stream scheme videos and one of the reasons why I do the stream scheme videos now, and some people are like, oh, you're kind of repeating content or you're kind of doing the same basic content or you're doing this, or didn't you make a video on this like 8 months ago? A lot of the time, it's not necessarily I'm making it because I think it's going to get me views or I'm trying to clip farm. It's that I need to instill the basics in my head over and over and over again, right? Like I get so comfortable in what I'm doing that I need to make a video where it's like, hey, remember how you need to make funny, engaging titles and not just dumb titles, LJ? Yeah, well, that's also going out to the entire audience. And it's like a big wake up for me.
Yeah.
And I find this podcast and getting asked questions is the exact same, right? Like I'm sat here and they're like, hey, how do I go variety? I'm like, whoa, mate, how do we go variety? This is how I did it. You know what I mean? And so it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like advice can change. Like, sorry.
No, go.
As I say, like, things can change, 6 to 12 months ahead. So like the advice in the video you made 6 months ago might be 80% right, but there's this one crucial thing you said that maybe doesn't apply anymore. So that's why people can make a newer version of a video as well.
Yeah. Dead on.
Which is why every year I'm going to start releasing 8 budget microphones for you to test. Every year I'm going to make that video and then I'm going to follow it up with a sponsored video where I tell everyone about the fact that I am also sponsored.
Please.
And I'm only going to have the winner of the microphone videos be the people who sponsored me. Even if their mic is terrible, they're going to win.
That's a smart move.
Yeah, that's it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's what I would do. Definitely, definitely. And that's you know, another myth out there is that as soon as you're sponsored, you've made it, baby. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about subs. As soon as you're sponsored, woo, oh my lord, you're making thousands upon thousands, $20,000 a day. That's just, we'll talk about that a bit later though. But boys, how we all been? How we all feeling this week? Has it been a good week for us? We have, I think we have to go back and talk about, obviously it's been a few weeks now since we talked about our week in streaming. Shall we save it for a bit later, or do we want to go straight into the good stuff?
Let's do it. Let's do
A
it.
little bit of a synopsis of the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
I've been having a good couple weeks. I've been doing Elden Ring, some power washing sim, and a few other things like that, which have been
I really
fun.
want to play Power Washing Sim. Would
Well,
you
it's
recommend
good.
it?
as well.
It's
Okay.
very, very good, but here's my big recommendation for you.
Okay.
Come in with a lot of really engaging talking points.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those games where you're not going to get any kind of actual talking point after about 45 minutes in. All the talking points are done because it's you're power washing, right?
Right.
So it would come in like my very first stream with power washing sim, I came in with a big page worth of like relatable questions. Like throughout my day leading up to power washing sim, I got my book here. Throughout my day leading up to power washing sim, I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wrote down throughout it. So I was like, do you have a shower first? Or do you have breakfast first? Or do you pee first? Or do you do it all at once? Like I had all these things like that I like literally throughout my entire day, I was just writing this stuff. I was like, do you guys ever just watch people on the train? You just like stare at people on the train, just like watch them and see like, what is that person doing? What life do they have?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, when you're sitting in the train, you look out the window and it's like a ninja running along the roofs and stuff like that. I thought that was a common occurrence that everyone agreed with.
A ninja running across the roofs or looking out the window?
You pretend when you're looking out the window. There's like
okay. I thought you were actually seeing ninjas, and I was like,
And I was
damn,
like-
it's eventful up
Did
there.
you guys not do this as kids? Is this not something
for
you
sure.
did? Yeah, all right. Like,
Yeah.
but everyone in my chat was like, "No, who does that? What's you talking about?" I was like, what? "You look out the window of your car ride, or your train ride, or your bus, and like you pretend there's a little man running along, jumping on things." And everyone else in chat was like, "No."
I never did that, but like at night, if I was a passenger in a car, I would squint my eyes at like the street lights and turn my head, and the lights would just kind of like dance back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Anytime it went
you did
under
that yet.
when it went over a bridge, rather, there's this one called the Glee Point Bridge or something, and you look up and it's got these like spires that stick out, kind of like if you imagine a triangle shape, and it gets faster and faster the closer you get to the middle because the spires aren't so thin. So it kind of looks like you're declining into the earth and then going back up like a roller coaster.
Oh, that's
As
cool.
a kid, you just notice everything a lot more, and you have that imagination, like woo, good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, essentially you're like that kind of stuff, right? Like I was just going throughout my day just writing out, and this is a little cheeky tip for everyone, just writing out really common things and asking how people have their days in a funny way, right? You know, are you an early or are you late? You know, when you go to arrive somewhere, do you arrive 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late? And then when I had these common occurrences written out, then I started being like, now do I have a funny story I can tell about that? And like, for example, the early or late one, oh, the rain just started, fuck's sake. The early or late one, it turned into like, oh, hey, do you, if you arrive early like I do, have you ever been in an embarrassing situation? When then I went on to tell people about when I arrived early to a job interview and I was stood outside it and I thought I'll have my sandwich, I'll have some lunch before I go in because I'm that 20, 30 minutes early. And I'm stood outside a few buildings down because I don't want to stand outside their offices. And I keep getting these weird looks by people walking past. And I'm like, I'm just eating a sandwich. I don't know why everyone's giving me weird looks. This is really strange. And then a woman walks out and she's quite scantily clad. And she says, are you here today for us? I said, what? No, I'm having a sandwich. I've got an interview in like 20 minutes down there. She goes, hun, this is a brothel.
You get some energy in before you head on in. You're like, may as well.
I was like, oh. I was just having a sandwich and sitting on this power box because like one of those little green power boxes is there, like you can sit on. And she was like, yeah. Well, we're a brothel. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go stand in front of a different building. And she goes, yeah, just that one's a brothel too. So maybe just go back all the way down. And I was like,
Boulevard, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's the building I'm applying in. You're saying it's a brothel? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, good, that's what I'm applying for. No. But anyway, essentially, I played some power washing sim. I played some Elden Ring. It was good. Average viewers has been really up and down. I had one night where without any raids, I had like 150, 160 average viewers.
Damn, dude.
Then I had another night where, you know, I barely got higher than like 80 or 90 average viewers, and it goes up and down. But my subs have been up. My unique chatters has been up. All my stuff's been up. It's just a matter of, I guess, time of year. I've not been producing much content on other platforms. But I'm feeling good because we've got a new video going out on the LJ channel today. We just had a new video go out last night on Stream Scheme, which has aggressively like underperformed, but it's about TikTok. And as I've talked to you boys before, people just don't like TikTok. The amount of comments, people being like, it's spyware. They're tracking everything about me. And I always say the same thing. I go, mate, wait till you find out about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Amazon. You're going to be upset as a streamer.
I was going to say, it's like those people, you know, when you get those voice assistants, like, you know, Alexa or Google Homes, it's like they're listening to everything you say. And I'm like, mother, do you not see the phone that you're carrying around with you? Do you not understand why you get those like suggested ads and everything? It's because it's goddamn listening already. So that's
already
the least of
listening
your concerns.
Every time you Google something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's I don't want to download the app. It's taking all my data. And I'm like, bud, you're using an iPhone. Like, I understand you're scared because of all the people talking about how it's Chinese spyware, but like, it doesn't matter what country it's coming from. Everyone is listening to it at all times, and they're all using it for whatever they want. Like,
yeah.
But either way, people don't want to use it, which is hilarious, right? Do you guys think this is weird? That content creators and small streamers and stuff like that shoot themselves in the foot. They essentially choose to be undiscoverable a lot of the time, like for excuses like, oh, I don't want to download the TikTok app, or like the TikTok audience is bad, like they're toxic, which TikTok commenters 99% of the time are toxic. But I don't think those are the people who convert to watch your stream. Also, if you get all toxic people in your stream, maybe your content's toxic.
Yeah.
But like, or they'll be like, oh, YouTube algorithm hates me, so there's no point me trying, right? When it's like, okay, well, the algorithm doesn't hate you. Your content doesn't suit the algorithm. That's all it is. That's life. Or they'll say things like, oh, I don't want to play games I dislike, and they just sit and play a game that's never going to get... Like, I feel like there's so many creators who just shoot themselves in the foot and then get upset about not growing. Is this common? Or am I just overexposed to it and I'm getting salty?
This is definitely common.
Yeah, I'd say it's common. I think people think that they're like, no, I want to do it the right way. And so they just they do the standard thing rather than trying to actually diversify and gain exposure on other platforms.
I think they see something and they're like, oh, the organic way is I saw this person grow all the way through Twitch and they didn't have to use other things. It's basically an excuse not to do more work, I think, in the scheme of things. But this is a good tangent for me actually on my week is I was a little proud of myself for the simple fact that I started a new YouTube channel called Reap Shorts, right? And I think I advertised it once in stream, you know, like Reap Shorts, this is my clips, blah, 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 blah. And the other day, I've just been releasing a clip like every day this month, you know, just something after the stream that I can put on there, 7 seconds, 15 seconds. I've got up to 100 subscribers by no advertising, just putting stuff out there and people subscribing for the clips that they see. Now, I know that's not a big thing in people's eyes, but for me, it's like I've put this, you know, extra effort in after stream for about 5-10 minutes. Uploaded something, didn't even do a thumbnail, just uploaded the clips, and people have been watching them, commenting on them, and subscribing to this Reapz Shorts channel. So it just feels good, man. It feels like, okay, it does pay off. So what you were saying before, yeah, just put stuff out there. What's the worst that can happen? People don't watch it. Well, people aren't watching it now anyway. So why not increase your chances and just do stuff? So my week has been good in that regard. I've been, you know, focusing on putting Instagram reels up and TikToks and stuff like that. And obviously there's not been a breakthrough moment for me, but the fact that I'm still doing it and still trying to pump out that content because, you know, one day, hopefully someone will see something and be like, yeah, I like this guy, follow. And that's an extra follow that he didn't have before. So yeah, it's been good in that regard.
That's awesome.
I think a lot of people don't look at it the way you've just explained as well, right? This is another thing. And I think this is, and I'm going to say this early on in the podcast, even though this is a big tangent that I wanted to go on. I won't go on it now. But I think every single small creator I speak to looks at platforms and looks at growth on things like YouTube, TikTok, Shorts, whatever it is. External platforms that are supposed to funnel to Twitch viewers. They look at it and they purely look at it as a way to grow their Twitch stream and to get more viewers on their Twitch stream. And because they look at it that way, it means that they fail. Because at the end of the day, the most important part about growing a TikTok or growing a YouTube channel, any of these things, is first and foremost providing content for that platform that is valuable and interesting for that platform. And if every single CTA in that video is sending people off that platform to your Twitch stream, or everything is just a big ad for your Twitch stream, usually the content suffers from that and it becomes less valuable and therefore it performs worse. And I always get the question, LJ, your TikToks, do you really think they'll convert to Twitch viewers? And I always say the same thing. I don't know. Probably not, to be entirely honest with you, but I'm not trying to make them convert to Twitch viewers right now. I'm trying to diversify my brand
Yep.
build another platform. And if people choose to convert, I don't actually have my Twitch linked on my TikTok. I have my YouTube channel linked on my TikTok to send them to the LJ personal channel. Because to me, the majority of people who find me on TikTok or on YouTube most likely won't be able to watch my live stream when it happens.
Smart.
So I want to send people from TikTok to my YouTube channel where they can watch any video they want instantly. And the day I changed that over, I got 5 new subs. And I was like, cool. And the next day, 4 new subs. And I'm actually seeing that people are converting from TikTok to YouTube way easier than converting from TikTok to Twitch. So
That's a
been
really good. That's really
Yeah.
good. I'm going to do the same because at the moment, I've got my Twitch thing, and to be fair, again, YouTube I think is the main hub for what you are as a brand because people get the best bits and they don't have to sit through a 5-hour stream to understand you, and then they can go over to Twitch if they want to see me live. So that's really smart. I'm going to write that down and do that a little bit later today.
Yeah, now you got me curious. Like, what link do I have? I've just got my link tree. Okay, I've got my link tree as my.
See,
my link
I was
there.
considering doing that, but I have a theory that if you add one too many clicks, the conversion rate will just disappear. Like,
Yeah, one click's
I honestly believe that link trees and stuff are really good for things like Twitter.
Mhm.
But I feel like if you're trying to convert people between certain platforms that are all about discoverability, like TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that, I think a link tree just lowers the conversion rate too much. Is this weird? This is my theory. 'Cause I think if one too many clicks and they're like,
No, I agree. I completely agree. The more work you have to do to go to a place that you just, like if you go to Twitter and it's just YouTube right there and the person's a YouTuber, 1 click. When it's the link tree, you click on the link tree and then you got to scroll down to what you want, click on that, and then it goes there. It's an extra step because we're a very lazy and we love consumption, but we don't want to do the work. Kind of like, some of the small time creators don't want to put in the extra work on different sites. So really is about efficiency.
No, the extra click makes a lot of sense. I guess it comes down to just maybe you rotate your links. Like one month you have your YouTube, 1 month you have your Twitch, and you just kind of go back and forth. Because I can completely agree with LJ because like you're just putting entertaining stuff on the platform, and then if people are like, eventually they'll watch enough of your TikToks to be like, you know what, I actually like this person. I want to see more of their content, or I actually want to see if I can catch a live stream. And you'll see, and then they will, of their own endeavor, like their own volition, will actually seek out your channel. And because they're doing it of their own volition, they're more likely to actually be a viewer and probably be a returning viewer as well. So
yes,
I've had, I've had I think 2 people openly say that they came from TikTok, like
that's
ever,
awesome.
but then I mean, there may be more that just are lurking. Who knows? So like it does work. It does happen.
So how's your week, Nick? What happened with you?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. So like 2 weeks ago I had sort of a bit of a low week, but last week I definitely bounced back when I started the Nuzlocke in Arceus, which has been a major success. It's been so much fun, where I'm trying so hard to use my small brain to not fail this run, and I'm still making bad decisions and things are still going wrong. And
content.
Where the content comes from, baby.
That's it. We've already lost 3 Pokemon and we've only done like 1 major fight. So we're off to a great start. So yeah, it's that's been going really, really well. And I've been just a lot of ideas have been coming to me for TikTok. So I've got like a big laundry list of like little skits to make on TikTok, which I'm really excited to make. So that like just some of just general stuff. And then I've got like this whole kind of Yu-Gi-Oh skit series that I've come up with in my head that I'm excited to work on as well. And it sort of ties in, like every Sunday we've been doing just playing Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. And it's been awesome because a lot of the community has been enjoying it. We've been getting a lot of new viewers coming in because they want to, they don't want to go to the big, like, multi-thousand viewer Yu-Gi-Oh streamers because they can't be heard in there. They want to come to a smaller stream that, like the 100 viewer mark, that they can actually say something and actually play and that kind of thing. So it's been really, really good. So we're kind of, that's kind of been the content right now, has been the Nuzlocke and sort of Yu-Gi-Oh fun. So it's, things are really solid. So I'm excited for the next few weeks and sort of expanding on that and helping it keep going. But it's been
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
That's really, really cool.
Are you guys finding it's a little bit different probably for me and Reapz right now? But in terms of traffic, February and end of February, particularly because a lot of people disappear, that streams tend to die off. The big months for streams tend to be early January and stuff like that, and they'll pick back up later in the year. But are you guys finding there's a bit of a dip right now? How are you dealing with it? Does it freak you out at all? Because streamer Twitter right now, not only are there a bunch of myths that we can cover, but holy crap, people are freaking out.
Yes.
And this is my first big, this is my first big foray into the dipping times of the year, because I've been pretty consistent up until recently.
Yeah.
And it has freaked me out a little bit, but also I'm going to throw it out there. I think I'm a bit old and gray because I've stopped really caring.
Honestly, because I've been doing this for quite some time, there are always the dips, and it does play on me mentally. Even you can get better at it. Obviously, you can get grow tougher skin if you want to make that analogy. Probably the wrong analogy, but yeah, obviously February is always a hard time. It does dip, and you do feel a little bit less like, oh, am I still okay? Like, am I still entertaining, this type of stuff? But it always goes back up. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people are freaking out about the most is that with the pandemic, we know that the past 2 years have seen a lot of people housebound or, at home. And so it's always going to be like this stratus stuff. I don't even know the word, like the stratus, what is it? Stratosophic? Stratosphere. It's shooting to the stratosphere is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
In terms of people watching, because there's more people that are home and can actually do that. But now that it's kind of getting back to normality, in a sense, you are going to see a bit of drop off, and that's fine, because there are other avenues, and Twitch really hit a peak in these past, 2 years and whatever. But now that it's kind of going back to normal times, and knock on wood, there's not a crazy other strain. You are going to see a bit of a drop off, but it doesn't mean that people aren't going to come to Twitch and still watch you. It's just that there are times like February, as you said, that it can affect you to a bit. But yeah, I'm not too worried, to be honest with you, Nick.
Yeah, I think priorities are changing where the world is opening up. People are like, we're kind of almost returning to that normality again.
Yeah.
So that people are prioritizing going out. They're prioritizing doing other things. And like February is always a low month, but I think specific it's been an especially low month because of all those things. And conventions are starting up. Maybe they'll get cancelled again, most likely.
No, they announced PAX this morning. Australian PAX was announced.
Yeah, PAX got announced.
October like 8th or 9th, the same as last year, same dates as last time, but October.
Oh, okay, great.
7 to 9th, which coincides with TwitchCon, I think, this year.
They always coincide with TwitchCon.
I'm gonna do it. I'm doing PAX. I'm gonna do it.
Sure.
If you boys gonna be there, I'm down to do it. Even if the entirety of PAX I take away from is gonna be just hanging out with you two, I'm doing it. I don't care. We can record live. I'll bring a camera down. We can all get one lav mic, put it in between us all, and just yell into it.
I was gonna say, can we just find like a bougie little coffee shop in Melbourne and just kind of sit there and just
frappuccino, orange mocha frappuccino between us. We've all got straws in there. It'll be great.
It's Melbourne, right? So we'll just find like a black leather couch in a white room somewhere and just all sit on that, right?
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Some graffiti in the background, definitely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so a question I have for you, right? This is something that has taken me a while to fully realize, but I feel like, and this maybe kind of comes across as bad, and I want to throw it out there. I want to give credit to Architect, otherwise known as Trey, who's an amazing content creator. I don't know him personally. I ended up stumbling into one of his OOT randomizers, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I found out that he was mates with people like Sandwich and Point Crow and stuff, and I was like, okay, no wonder I like this guy's streams. He's incredibly talented and has a really good vibe, right? And he's friends with all the same streamers that I already watch, right? But I was watching his streams, and something I've noticed about Trey is that he usually will get between like 90 to 110 average viewers pretty consistently. But he is so entertaining, so confident, so like he works so hard, he puts on such a good show and everything like that. And I kind of look at it and I go, I am a bit of a piece of shit compared to someone like Trey, because I'm at 100 viewers and I start feeling sorry for myself, right? And I start feeling a bit crappy and stuff like that. And it's watching Trey has made me go, I've got 100 viewers. If I release videos and I just consistently just keep releasing videos and doing that stuff, they'll do well. It will perform, right? If I'm at 50 to 70 viewers, it doesn't matter, right? Yep. Streams really should simply be one thing and one thing only for me, and that is I enjoy it and I can turn it into other content.
Yes.
Like, and I think that I say this to myself all the time, and it's so hard to actually lock it in your brain. It's so easier to say it and so much harder to feel the action. But this is the thing I've been dealing with over the last like 2 weeks is that, I just feel like any night where it goes down low, the next day I'm feeling sorry for myself. But I'm like, man, do you think someone like Trey, who never lets it be shown on stream, at least for me when I'm there, he never lets it be shown, oh, you know, it's a bit of a rougher stream today and stuff like that. He always puts on that such a good show, and he pushes through and he does those things. And it just makes me feel more confident that I need to push harder. I need to do more. I shouldn't let these things affect me. But I don't know. I think it's natural that we all get affected, right? Like, I'm sure you guys do as well.
Definitely. I haven't seen Trey, but I'd love to check him out. Obviously, you've given him such a good rap that obviously I'm like, yes, let me see what this is all
Dude,
about.
He's so funny. And I feel like his jokes, also, he's just so confident when he delivers jokes. And I think that's a big, everyone knows that like comedy is two things, confidence and timing.
Yes.
Right? And if you get those right, you smash it. And I don't know. But also, I got another thing to say about it. But no, you keep going, Reapz.
I was just going to say that I think he does. There's a difference between professionalism and, as you know, in any kind of thing, if you like do theater or anything like that, once the camera's on, you have to act a certain way, or at least go to a level that you think is entertaining. And I think that there's no chance in hell, because everyone has insecurities, everyone has doubts. And when you see them for the 4 hours or however long the person streams, they project a certain persona. But when the cameras turn off and, you know, it's 24/7 and you live with yourself or live with another person, you're always going to have those insecurities, and it's completely fine to have them. It's just that you have to address them in a healthy way. And I think that Trey, and something that I would like to try and like really commit is when I am having those down days, I put it to the side and then I just put on the best stream that I can do. And then afterwards, it's like, yeah, I can feel sorry for myself for a bit, but at least I know that I've done my job for the day and nobody can doubt me on that. So that would be my mentality. Of course, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't give a shit about numbers or, you know, feeling down and stuff. But I would say, if I had to take a guess, yeah, that probably does affect them, but not to a crazy extent.
Yeah, I think everyone's gonna sort of like when you're in this sort of this space, or like, I mean, it could apply to a lot of things. You're always going to monitor the performance of what you're doing, and if you think, you know, if you're not seeing enough forward momentum, like that can affect you. But like, yeah, like whenever Trey's live, like he's just like, he's always like his same energetic self. And I've always been weirdly kind of the same, where it's like I've always been able, and I've just, like, people always say like, how do you have all this energy? You're always so positive and kind of upbeat and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, I get affected the same way all other creators get affected, and they have their moods go up and down. But I've just not something that I've trained myself to do. I've just always had the ability to kind of like take however I'm feeling that day and kind of just put it in a drawer in my brain and just kind of shut that drawer and then focus on, because I love streaming and I love creating content. I love games. I love interacting with my community. And I just kind of put that stuff in the drawer and I just focus on what I'm doing and having a good night. But then as soon as I click stop streaming, that drawer bursts out again. And
it's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true.
And it's just like, if you've held it there for like, you know, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then it's gone, and then it comes back and hits you. Which is why, like, you see all those memes of like go do the rounds on Twitter sometimes, where it's like happy streamer, click stop streaming, and then just like, oh
yeah. I guarantee, because this definitely goes into the whole myth thing, is that when you see the big time streamers and you think that they're carefree because they're making all the money in the world, I guarantee you they still have problems behind the scenes. Not in terms of maybe viewerships and stuff, but I'm talking about the harassment on Twitter, you know, what people think of them, sponsorships. They have a lot on their plate as well. And I think that's a big myth, is that once you've made it, you're the top of the, you know, creme de la creme, that nothing can possibly go wrong. You're happy go lucky. Every day is sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. You know what I mean? Which is not the case. So that would be another myth that I would like to stamp out now and go, everyone still has to deal with a lot of crap behind the scenes.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I feel like if anyone is a long-term watcher of me or a long-term listener of the podcast, you're eventually going to hear me bring this up again, right? Like, because I'm not going to have perpetual solid growth forever. I think that I've always learned in my life is that I've never really just been able to just jump in and have like a crap load of success. Like, it always takes me a huge amount of work. Like, I think there are some people who are very naturally talented. And I think a lot of people looking in would assume that I'm quite naturally talented because they've seen Stream Scheme's growth. But the reality is fuck, dude, it was years of hard work, and it was a year or two of doing it for other people's channels to understand it, right? Like, and I find that I'll always have to put in a huge amount of work and remind myself. And as I said, Stream Scheme is a way of reminding myself. It's almost like a letter to myself, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And I don't know, I was curious on what you guys' thoughts are, because with average viewer drops, I get quite self-conscious because I know people will be quite, because people will be quite judgy. But the thing that's interesting to me is it's always small content creators between 0 and 15 average viewers who are very judgmental about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like people like, you know, Sandwich or Trey or anyone who like has a little bit more time and experience would never have those same opinions. You know what I mean? Like, and I also think people like, you know, even Harris Heller and all these guys, anyone who's kind of gone through the motions, had the dips, had the growth, had all those things, is a lot more, their opinion matters a lot more and it's a lot more on point, but it's hard to drown out someone like, you know, a couple people who are 15 average viewers who only ever think about your average viewers, who don't understand that growth, commenting or saying those things, compared to just one person being like, I don't give a crap that I'm at 100 average viewers. I don't give a crap that someone else is. If it's good content, it's good content. You do your thing, enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly it.
And that's been my big thing. My big thing this last like week and a bit is kind of finding that spark of joy. Because like, why did I start streaming? You know what I mean? Like, why did I start doing this? I wanted to be an entertainer. You know, I used to stream to 20 average viewers and I was so happy about that. Why am I sad about streaming to 100 average viewers? Hedonic treadmill. We talk about this every week. But speaking of, and also the other thing, I think we're allowed to talk about this. Another big myth is that most people who are over 100 viewers, by the way, they're actually got a lot of viewers there who aren't even watching the stream. So this is a big one that a lot of people don't realize is that even if your user list is exactly the same amount of numbers as your viewer list, even if it never will be, it's usually about 5 to 10% difference. But even if they're exactly the same, most big streamers, they're on the front page of Twitch. Most big streamers, the moment you get sponsored by a brand, you're also embedded on their websites. Which, if you don't know what an embed is, it's essentially like you get put on a website, and any viewer who goes to said website, your stream will be there in a little box. There are legal and illegal ways to do this for Twitch terms of service. Legal, you have to have the stream fully open as a box on the thing. You can't hide it behind anything, and it needs to be a certain amount of pixels. But there used to be a way Extra Life or other people would add like a single pixel stream, and they get all these views. But essentially, there's news rules for it. But all these things, and you look at these big creators and you're like, wow, they've got a couple thousand viewers or they're doing all these things. And you look at it, it's actually only about 200 to 300 sometimes. And there are some really big partners who get like 2,000 viewers. But in reality, they're only getting like 500, which isn't a huge amount of viewers. But the extra 1,500 comes directly from, you know, being on websites, you know, being on guides websites like Extra Life, or being embedded on their own website or a blog or wherever it is, right? And everyone has different opinions about what is allowed and what isn't allowed, and what should and shouldn't be allowed. Twitch says that it's legal if you do it the right way. And I've seen people like Clipbot. If you don't know what Clipbot is a really cool tool where you can set up some templates and then it'll just automatically run every single clip on your channel through the templates, and then you can just click export and they'll export directly to TikTok and directly to YouTube for you. It's quite a cool tool. There are lots of stuff like that, like Join Combo and things like that are coming up because Streamladder and Crossclip just don't perform as well as they should. But for example, Clipbot, he has his own stream embedded on his website about Clipbot, right? And I think that's fine. Like, he probably gets a boost of like 20 to 30 viewers every single stream. They're not real viewers, but it gives him the boost. It's his website. He did the work, right? It's not like he's view botting. And I think that's fine. I've been heavily considering lately, I should throw this out there, just embedding myself on my Stream Scheme blog.
I was about to say, I was like, you brought it up and I was like, yeah.
Why wouldn't you, man?
Because I know I'll get shit.
Oh, okay, right. The backlash, yeah.
Because we've tested it. We tested it a year ago on, not on my channel, on another channel. And it would get them like 15, 20 extra viewers, right? And we haven't grown that much in terms of overall stuff. But we also tested it in different time slots. And there was a guy in a time slot like 2 a.m. where we tested it for him, and he would get like 100, 200 extra viewers, right? Because there was so many more people on the website in a certain time slot.
Okay.
So for my time slot, we think that would probably only give me 20 viewers. But in my head, I'm kind of like, that's a pretty big increase for some categories.
Yeah.
But I feel like I get backlash.
I don't think there would be backlash. First of all, I don't think a lot of people know about this embed thing that's going on. Because I remember for Extra Life, I forget what game they were playing, but I remember a lot of people in the chat were typing, how has this guy got like 50,000 viewers at the moment? Like this game it was a big old uproar anyway. But I think it's completely fine, because what you're doing is that is your brand. This is exactly what you've put out there. I am a streamer. Here is my blog. I'm streaming right now. Come over and have a look. I don't see, if they give you backlash, why would you care? Like these people, you've talked about, in the past about how you're worried about, the moral compass and everything. And it's always going to be hard because everyone has different moral compasses. But to me, I don't see a bad thing about you having a blog which helps streamers and then your stream being on this streamer blog. It'll be completely different if you say you were a sponsor of Maybelline and somebody went to the Maybelline website and your stream's right there. That would be weird. But
Well,
this,
that
I
is-
think, feels naturally.
That is something that's happened recently. And sorry, before I circle off that, you know what? I kind of agree with you, but
Yeah.
I feel like if I was going to do it, I was going to make a video because I've been thinking more about it lately with the view drop and stuff like that. Just honestly, because if I was getting an extra 20 viewers, I know I'd feel so much more confident and comfortable while live because it wouldn't have that number hanging over me. Is
Yeah.
that weird? Like I know the number wouldn't
it's
be
not weird.
real anymore, but I wouldn't feel so scared.
It's the mental trick. to,
Right?
like, yeah.
And I'd be super honest about it. So like the only way I'd do this and the only reason I would do this is if I made a video where it would be called How I'm Going to Legally Viewbot. And I would just do a video where I'm like, look, guys, for the last 2 years, I have done everything in my power to make sure I do the right steps for you guys. I don't ping you in the Discord. I don't advertise to you. I don't take your email addresses. I don't do any of these things. You know what? I'm going to be a bit selfish. But I'm not gonna attack you guys to make you sign up or pay me or anything like that. I'm just gonna put myself on my website, and it will probably give me some more viewership.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna make it harder for me to check my analytics, but it's gonna make me more comfortable. If you don't like that, that's totally fair. But I'm being 100% honest with you. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But I gotta decide if it's worth it to deal with it, right? And I just think it's interesting. But recently, oh no, you go. Sorry.
I was like, you. I mean, yeah, you could trial it for a week, but like the same way you said about Clipbot, where it's like you put in the work to build up Stream Scheme and build up the website, and if someone complains, tell them to go make their own website and do it.
Yeah. If they're
you just
that
go make
low
your
that
own
they
web,
went
like,
to your website and then went to your stream and go, why are you putting your stream on your website? I would be like, what is wrong with you? Get out. Start again, understand exactly how to do this. But honestly, we're preaching to the choir here, but LJ, I don't think anybody would look down on you. I think people would be like, that's a smart move. And we talk about how we have these social platforms that funnel into our Twitch. Is this not exactly the same thing? But we don't
It's not
really
like
have
it's someone
these
else's
blogs.
work, right? This is the
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
right? It's like it's
work.
our
Your
brand,
work.
A lot of the posts there are written by myself and the team, and like we've got the videos and stuff on it. But there are people who do the opposite. So I'm not going to mention names, but currently in the Animal Crossing community, there's been a big uprise of embedded partners.
Okay.
And that means that people are partnering with certain websites in the Animal Crossing niche to be put up on their site, and they are getting embeds, which means a lot of Animal Crossing creators are suddenly not getting as many views because all the views are funneling to 2 or 3 people who are getting now suddenly 1,000 views. But here's one of the big downsides for people getting 1,000 views is that a lot of the people who enjoyed their cozy, comfortable Animal Crossing streams now don't feel like they are cozy and comfortable, despite the fact that the chat hasn't increased. So here's the thing, right? If you've got 200 viewers and you go to 1,000, your chat won't increase in size necessarily because you're just getting a view increase, which is why people call it legal view botting. It actually also, from what we've read and seen, it also won't increase your following. This is really interesting. It'll just give you the bigger boost in your category, and then you have to create really good content. And if your chat isn't active, you're actually less likely to grow from it, and it hurts you more because if your chat isn't active, people think it is just view bots or it's not an interesting stream, and they won't follow and they won't engage. So sometimes it can really hurt. Whereas if you have 100 viewers and your chat's kind of slow, people are much more likely to engage. Anyway, long story short, it's a bit of a weird one because obviously it's a bit of a moral quandary in the sense that these Animal Crossing streamers, they didn't make any of the content. They're just being, they're just being partnered, put up on the website, potentially being paid to promote this other service. And it's like, there's a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of stuff like that happening across all of Twitch. I think one of the big examples used to be Method, which was a World of Warcraft raiding guild. They had some guides, I believe, or some other stuff, and they used to embed the World of Warcraft Method streamers. And Fextralife, as you mentioned earlier, Fextralife is a massive guides website where every single page has their stream embedded on it. So every time there's a big release, such as Final Fantasy VII, New World, and I believe they did it again recently with New Arc and with this one. What is Elden Ring? I'm playing it. I lost the name. And they usually get around 26 to 30,000 boosted fake views. Fake views, I'm trying to say. But again, they're writing the blog.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a lot of people hate Fextralife for what they're doing, but like, they're writing the blog. You know what I mean? Like, You could go out there and write hundreds of guides and make an entire guide website and just to embed your stream. If you're a creative writer, you're better off spending your time doing that than you are making YouTube videos in a way.
Yes.
But people look down on Fextra Life. And this is one of the big interesting things. And also, throwing it out there as well, we all have to remember, Twitch doesn't count those views if you don't know this. So Twitch will not count those views towards partner numbers. So like, it's one of the ways, like if someone's partner, and also Twitch can, if anyone doesn't realize this big myth, people think that Twitch doesn't know what a viewbot is or what an embed is. Twitch knows exactly where every single view is. And if you ever viewbot or get viewbotted, Twitch fucking knows in a heartbeat. So if you ever see a Twitch partner, you can usually tell that they've probably been able to at least get the average viewers themselves. They may have changed their mind, but it's very unlikely that they're, you know. Anyway, that's a big one. View embeds and stuff like that and partnered websites are a massive myth on Twitch that a lot of people don't realize. I've actually got my own checker. So I got one of my mods to build me a checker so I can go to anyone's stream and I can click this little link that I've got on my bookmarked bars and it will tell me exactly how many people are in their user list and exactly what their view count is. So I can see whether or not someone's embedded.
I found there was a tool that I found. I think it was on. I think Devin made a video about it, and he had this link to actually show what the actual real viewership in that stream.
So mine has it all, but then it also graphs it and serves it for the streams. And I don't mind Devin's, but I like having like little control over mine.
I was saying yours sounds better.
So mine's much dirtier because it is just for like it used to be just for my stream to see. What I wanted to track was I wanted to track my user list and my viewer list because I was getting Twitch front page a lot. And when I was doing these like sponsored streams for the Twitch front page or any of these things like that, I wanted to see if there was like how many people were coming in who were real viewers from Twitch and how many of them were just people on the front page of Twitch. And this would allow me to track that. So like say I'm streaming and I get put on the carousel for an hour, the graph and everything like that will be like, hey, here's this part here where you suddenly go to 150 viewers. But your actual like user list only increases by 20. And I like to find out that like extra 30 viewership that was just coming from the front page. Like it was information that I needed to learn. But if I do end up deciding to go for this embed thing, which I'll be very honest, if I do, I'll tell everyone about it. I'll use this and I'll know for sure. And I'll at least have the data.
There you go. You got a video. But asking for a friend. So say you've got a viewbot, right? That increases your numbers. This plugin that you have would tell you basically the discrepancy there.
It depends on the viewbot. So there are two ways to essentially viewbot. There's the expensive way, which actually creates the accounts and puts them in your chat. And these go from multiple different prices. So the very, very expensive ones, which by the way, none of us believe in viewbotting. You should not viewbot. You should not buy views.
Do not do it. It's not worth it.
Cancel, guys.
But
sorry, just I had a call there. Just
I'm
good. Go on.
And I'll give you a fun story about this afterwards. But to clarify, there are lots of different tiers, right? And there's the cheaper viewbots, which the cheaper viewbots will literally just boom, they'll just increase your entire thing, but your user list won't increase whatsoever. There's the more expensive ones, which just chuck a bunch of bots in your chat. And they will, usually the way to check those is just go to the user list because they'll be the exact same. You just go to the user list and it will just be Aaron 1, Aaron 2. Like, seriously, that's what it will be, right? I'm not even memeing. Then there's more expensive ones where it'll fully just add a bunch of like individual different real names to it. And then there's the very expensive ones, which fix your user list so it looks fully legit. And then they'll actually have the accounts on timers write random things to try and fake engagements.
Wow.
And so there are a lot of
It's weird.
I didn't know there were tiers to this. I thought it was just like you pay it and then there's your extra viewers. But now they're like going full on.
They'll just put like a random smiley face, or they'll put like a random like emote in the chat.
Poggers, right?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly.
That is another big myth of Twitch, by the way. There are a huge amount of viewbots out there. A huge amount.
Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt. And talk about growth. I just want to quickly stumble into another myth, and that is the myth of follow for follow will help you out in the long term. Follow for follow has got to be one of the. I only bring this up because the other day it happened to me.
You asked someone to follow for follow.
I went to someone's stream. I went to XQC and I went, bro. Follow. No, I was playing Sims 4 and a person came into my stream and followed. And I was like, thank you so much for the follow. Blah, 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 blah. They then typed in my chat, follow for follow, ? And I literally stopped the stream. Like I stopped him and I did the kind of sound effect type thing, right? I went, whoop. And I went, did you just ask me to follow for follow? And then I went to my jump scare cam and just said, No. And then the person just typed back, okay, never saw them again. But
No.
I think to myself, even if you are trying to grow on Twitch, and the fastest way you can think of is this follow for follow. I know there's Discords out there where you can join and you can, do the whole follow for follow. They tell you which channels to follow. Think of the long run, because one, you are now getting follows and your interactivity is still going to be at like 1 or 2. Because if you follow, say, 100 channels, sure, your follow count may go up, but nobody's watching you. Because how can they watch 100 channels at the same time? And why would they care about you? It's literally just a number. And I think one of the biggest myths out there is that if my follower count is bigger, that means I'm more legitimate, which is totally not true.
No, I got 26,000 followers. I think I'm the biggest follower list in this podcast.
Definitely.
And I think I don't get anywhere near, I get the exact same viewership as you guys pretty much. Like, your follower doesn't matter at all. The only time followers matters is intent. And that is like, if I look at my stream, I can go, okay, everyone is following me during just chatting. That's what people want. They want just chatting segments, LJ. Do more just chatting segments. That's what people want. And then I'm like, but I want to play Elden Ring. But like, that's all it is, right? Like, I think a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people say like followers don't matter. And I, for a while, agreed with that. But I have a new opinion on it now that I think followers are the best way to check your silent majority. So Lysol mentioned in the podcast 2 weeks ago, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's amazing, that she wanted to find out how to tell what her silent minority or silent majority wanted from her rather than the loud. Because the loud will always say, just do whatever you want, which is lovely, but it's really, really hard as a streamer to just listen to that, because you can't just do whatever you want, because I got 50 viewers all of a sudden when I did whatever I wanted. So here's the thing. I honestly believe going to your Twitch tracker. So if you don't know what Twitch tracker is, it's just a really good website. Go to your own Twitch tracker and you go to games streamed, and then you do followers gained per hour. You sort by followers gained per hour. And you can see exactly what categories have worked for you and have done it. Now, remember, you may have gotten like hit by follow bots. So for me, it says Detroit Become Human. I get 32 followers an hour. No, I got hit by 1,000 follow bots while playing that game.
Slightly skewed.
Yeah. But other things, I can look at it and I can go, yeah, Valheim, I got 15 follows per hour. And that was actually legit, right? Like that was, people loved that. I got 1,000 followers while playing Valheim across my 70 hours of it. And it did really well.
That's awesome,
and that to me is like, okay, people like it when I play survival building games where I can relax and chill and talk to people. You know what I mean? Just chatting, I've gained a huge amount of followers from, and that's because people really enjoy that. And so I use that to inform myself about what is a good category, that what works. Will I always follow through with it? No. I have 10 followers per hour in Minecraft and 100 hours in Minecraft. So if I wanted to, I could go play Minecraft and get a fuckload of followers. But I'll tell you what, ooh.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much time I can play Minecraft.
And LJ will be getting on his porch and he'll be like, "Get off my lawn."
Holding his gun.
If I see sus in my chat one more, man.
Exactly that.
Also, we should talk about, since we've talked about viewer list and user list and all those jazzes, we should probably talk about the fact that good old Zach Bussey, no, not Boy Pussy. It must suck to be him, right? Because like he had a very normal name up until like 6 months ago when this Bussy meme existed. I gotta throw it out there. Anyway, Zach's a really fantastic journalist in the Twitch space and esports space. And recently the rumor mill of Twitch, which is very common, small streamer Twitter, let's all agree, small streamer Twitter was a mistake. It is a mistake that we cannot go back. It is the evolution meme where it's like, oh fuck,
God's
go
turned his
back.
back on us.
Please stop.
So essentially, he's had to try and solve one of the rumor mills, because one of the rumor mills, if you boys haven't heard, was that people were saying Twitch has made it so lurkers no longer count as views after 15 minutes. Now, the reason why this rumor mill exists and why it has come out is because it's February. And as we said, February is one of the lowest months on all of Twitch for small streamers, medium streamers, and even some large streamers. And honestly, no, it's not true. Twitch would never change that metric, because that metric would mean that like 99% of views on Twitch would suddenly just disappear after 15 minutes.
Think about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just 5 minutes. Just you think about it. It's just like, wait, no, they would never do this, but they didn't think long enough on it.
No. And because this rumor mill got so big, this is one of the first times this ever happened, but it got so massive that Twitch decided they were going to update one of their pages and talk a little bit more about the myths that follow these things. Because again, we've all heard the myths, and I've never seen real stake in any of these. And I kind of just believe they were small streamers being small streamers. Also, this is another interesting thing. All of these myths that we're about to talk about are entirely, my personal belief is that it's small streamers trying to find a reason to keep viewers from lurking. They don't want people to lurk. And I think this is a really big thing in small streamer Twitter and small streamers in general, is they don't see the value in lurkers. They don't understand. They think a slow chat means a bad chat. And that is not true. And I think that the reason why these myths exist is people trying to kind of scam their way almost into it. And then it gets perpetuated into a bunch of other people who just mimic it along. But the reason they start, sorry, I should say, is because people want to keep that chat active. So here are the highlights, small updates for you. Muted streams do add your viewer count. So that means all those people who are out there who say you got to mute the tab, all that stuff, it was always bullshit. It never existed. This isn't an update. This is clarification. This was always known. We've done tests. We have whole YouTube channels devoted to testing these things. Like literally, like the amount of YouTube channels out there that are like, hey, I've got 20 viewers in my chat right now, and every single one of them is muted for 30 minutes. They've promised me that. They've shown me screenshots, and I've still got 20 viewers. Like the whole test, it works. But this still gets perpetuated. And I honestly, give me 3 weeks. I bet this perpetuates again. Then follow up, viewers with the chat popped out but the stream closed don't count. Now this is really interesting because I was always unsure of this one. I think they'll appear in your user list, but they won't appear as a viewer.
Yes.
So essentially you can close a stream, but you can have like the chat just out as its own little doc, and that won't count as a viewer, which I think is good. I think I might agree with that.
I'm okay with that.
That I don't
makes
count
sense
as a viewer technically, but
Chatbots don't count. We all knew that chatbots don't count. So things like Commander Root, even brands, there are brands like Rode and Owned and all these people who have their own chatbots that troll through and look at things. They don't count, obviously. And that's usually because they're in like 1,000 streams. So if you don't know, another clarification is that usually about 4 or 5 streams. If you're in about 4 or 5 streams, you'll count as a viewer for all 4 or 5 of them. You go a few too many over that, and suddenly you won't count as a viewer in any of them, which is why Commander Root, which is in every single stream, which by the way, not a bad bot, actually quite a good bot because it's very helpful. They will not count as a view anywhere. And if you're in like 20 streams, you won't count as a view anywhere. Which is good to know. I think a lot of people probably don't realize that they're trying to lurk in all these different places, and it's not helpful at a certain point.
I try like once I sort of found out about that, I just try to limit myself. Like I'll pick 1 to 2 people to like lurk on or like be active in for a while before I lurk, and like I rotate. Like tonight today I'm gonna pick these couple people or these 3 people to like lurk on. And you can't every day, you just kind of pick some different people to kind of rotate through, because once you go too many, it's like no, you don't count.
Correct.
It's also funny because there's a clarification as well that says that even if you have the stream tabbed out or minimized or anything like that, if you can hear the audio, even in mobile, right? So if I have a stream playing on my mobile and then I tab out for a second to reply to someone on Discord, as long as the audio is still playing out of my phone, that means the stream is still playing in the background and I'll still count as a viewer.
Okay.
But people always say like, no, you need to leave it all open and lurking, or like you need to make sure you mute the tab and have the audio player still up. You can have it completely minimized and they'll still count it.
Yeah. This is, I think, a really good thing, because people out there who are hopefully listening to the podcast may not realize this, and it may kind of curb how they feel or what they're telling people to do, their friends or family and stuff, because we all want to grow and we all want to have that viewership, but just keep in mind that there does come a time, and I've seen it in some chats, and maybe even I did it myself, where the streamer can become too overbearing because you know that they're so focused on their viewer count or trying to hit a certain partnership or affiliate, whatever it is. And it is that awkwardness of just like that drives people away. So I would suggest to look up this article if you do have any, concerns,
we'll tweet it.
Because exactly. We'll link it.
Tweet it. Go to our Twitter.
I'll put it in the audio one as well. Just to make yourself feel a bit better, because don't ruin what your content is just because you're so scared of the viewership. Again, hide your viewer count, really focus on the product like we're talking about before, Eljay was talking about before. It shouldn't really matter how many people are in your chat, because you can't fix that on the spot. You know what I mean? What fixes it is you focusing on the product in your stream in the long term. So
that's the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 2 years. And it, as I said, it takes me every 2-3 months. I have to keep repeating this to myself, thanks to my brilliant diagnosed anxiety disorder that my brain's given me. Thanks, body. Thanks, brain. Thanks, life. But honestly, the most important thing when you're live is just making good content. If you make good content and you have funnels, the viewers will come. If you have a way to be discovered and you make good content, the viewers will stick around. And that's also that's a great thing to know, but it's also, it does make it hurt more when you do have lower views after the stream, because you are working so hard to make good content.
Yes.
And if you have low views, and live you can't control.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do have a hot take.
Shoot, here we go.
Here we go.
I
Eljay's
need
hot
like a
take for the
graphics
week.
package. Nick, do you want to make a graphics package for
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
with,
I'll
like-
boot up After Effects. I'll whip up something special.
I imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, with like an RPG, and at the front is like LJ's head, and he fires it off, and LJ's head flies towards like a helicopter that has like Twitch or whatever he's against. Like
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
it's just
look for that
Probably,
weird. Yeah.
probably small streamers 90% of the time.
And hot
Shit,
take.
I'm insulting my key demographic. I'm not though. I'm not insulting my key demographic. Actually, I'm more just trying to give them real advice rather than sell snake oil. But here's my hot take for this week. My hot take for this week is that I think a lot of the leave me muted, leave me on lurk, leave me on these things, do those things for streams. I know I tell you guys to leave the retention rate on here. That's different. I'll just clarify.
Yeah.
When it comes to streams, all the perpetuated rumors, all those things like that, I got to throw it out there. If that's your focus, you probably are focusing on the wrong thing. Like, I think you're probably focusing on you've got a terrible mindset for content creation. If you're sat there and you're like, I need everyone here to make sure you just mute the tab, but leave me up, you are not focusing on the parts that actually matter. And trust me, I'm not saying I'm perfect at all. I always focus on the things that don't matter, but I have to catch myself. And that's one of the reasons as an educator, I'm very honest with admitting my mistakes, like I did a few weeks ago. But I got to throw it out there. I think most small streamers have a mindset where they're so aggressively just trying to boost that view count that it means that they stop making meaningful content. And I think that it's very, very, very hard to break that. And I think it's very common. But my hot take is that most creators who ask you to worry about those things, or who tweet those things, or perpetuate those rumors, they're just not making good content. They're focusing on the wrong part, and they're probably not making good content anymore.
Yeah.
And
oh, sorry, no, Reeves, you go.
oh no, I was just saying that you're dead on. And as a viewer, how would you like to be told, just leave me on mute and tabbed open? Like, do you feel like someone who's a part of a community, or do you just feel like a number that's been told what to do? Yep. Nick, sorry.
Yeah, I was say, and to clarify as well, it's like this is different from someone doing a legitimate call to action. It's very, very different. Very different. Like, your call to actions are important because, you know, like that's why you see them on YouTube all the time, because it's reinforcement and it's a reminder. It's like, do you enjoy? Oh yeah, I probably should follow if I'm not following already, or like maybe I will consider subscribing. Maybe like it's the kind of thing. It's important to remind the viewer, not to come off as annoying or as kind of grabby, like come on, give me your views, give me your money, or whatever like that. It's just to remind people to do that. Like, remind people, yeah, I have a Twitter. Yeah, I use Twitter. I should go follow this person.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important to do call to actions, but like, yeah, it's completely different to be like, yeah, no, just mute me, mute me on the tab. I just want your views.
I just need the numbers. I don't care if you watch me. I just need the numbers. Yeah. It's a toxic mindset.
And it's funny, right? Because I feel like no matter what, I feel like in these conversations, there is a lot of context that's required. And you're right, Nick, we need to give that context. Because I know that by saying this, people are going to go, Eljay, at the start of the stream, you were literally talking about how you just wanted an embed because you'll be able to get a boost in viewership and it'll make you more comfortable. How is it not the same thing? And I should clarify why it's not the same thing. The major reason it's not the same thing is because my embed isn't going to be making viewers leave a tab open and lurk for me and do all these things. Instead, is literally just going to be something in the background that my previous hard work is going to allow my stream to be more discoverable, right?
Yes.
If I do it, I haven't done it. Please don't get angry at me until I actually do it. Then I'll take your anger.
Yeah.
We'll do it for you,
thanks,
viewers.
yeah,
We'll just
Thanks. But essentially, this is perpetuating false information. This is like one of these things is perpetuating false information and is perpetuating the concept of you should do anything you can to reach affiliate. You should do anything you can to boost that viewer count. You should do anything you can to do X, Y, Z. When at the end of the day, you know, we talked about this a little bit before we started on the podcast, but I just released a video about TikTok. Okay. And I worked really hard to try and make this video like really engaging, really clickable and all these things like that. And I had bets with my mates and I said, you know, I think it's going to be like the 10th best video that's released in the last 10 videos. Like, so if you don't know, when you upload to YouTube, it'll rank between 1 and 10 of your last 10 uploads where this latest upload is. And I said, it'll be 10th. No one is going to want to learn about TikTok because everyone's afraid of the spyware, as we said. Everyone's afraid of all these things. It was 9th, right? It was 9th. And that sadly is a lot of the time, small streamers just don't want to do it. and we talked about at the very start of the podcast. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's the same thing. It's they would rather spend their energy following, a lot of them, not saying everyone, but the majority that we're talking about right now, would rather spend their energy following, posting in self-promo channels every time they go live, you know, spamming Twitter, just go lives and nothing else on Twitter. And that's it. They'd rather just do that. Go live and just spam all these things. When if they spend an hour just making TikToks, they'd probably have instantly go from 0 viewers to 10 viewers.
Yep.
Like I honestly believe that, because they're like, well, 10 viewers isn't much. And it's like, or they'll say things like, oh, TikTok doesn't convert to viewers very well. And it's like, you've got 0 viewers. You don't need 100 viewers.
Yeah.
You just need 5. You just need to start by aiming for 5. And you can get there if you just spend the time actually making TikToks and stuff like that, or YouTube shorts, or whatever you want to do, rather than just asking and begging people to lurk in your stream or asking people to come follow you when they don't care.
Yeah, I've said this many times. There's a certain level of entitlement that I find with small streamers, especially, I'm not going to say everyone, obviously, I want to make it clear now that there's a lot of small streamers that are doing the hard work and putting it in, and we understand that sometimes it doesn't pay off straight away, but in the long term, chances are it probably will be over those who are doing nothing. You know what I mean?
To be honest, probably everyone listening to this most likely isn't one of the people we're talking about.
Exactly.
This is another interesting thing.
Improve.
Yeah, if they're here listening to this, like them, and then the commenters and the people in this communities, in our communities, most likely aren't those people. But if you go to the comments on Stream Scheme, which is a really big, quite a big channel, and it gets a lot of people coming in, it's aimed very much at beginners. You sadly will get a lot of people in the comments who are these people, and these are the people we're discussing. Or you go to small streamer Twitter, and those are the people we're discussing. Or you go to these Discord communities or Twitch or anything like that, and you'll usually see a lot of these people. So you're right. It is a good clarification. We aren't talking about people listening to this. We're talking about a very specific group.
We're talking about the people who have 50 billion overlays on their stream saying donate now, sub now, bits now. That type of thing where they just want immediate action to be taken and they don't want to put in the hard work. That's who I'm putting this towards. So when you do have those kind of all those different variables coming into place, as we've talked about, why not just try something different? Nick's talked about this in the past. It's like, if you only take like 5 minutes, it takes me 5 minutes to cut a short. You know what I mean? I put it in join. What is it? What's the combo?
Join combo. Yeah.
That's combo. The one.
I'm loving this. Everyone's using it now. I've sent this to every single person I know since I found it. The founders of it, now I have me on Discord. They reached out. They're like, hey, want us to add any features? And I'm like,
yeah. If you can just embed my stream in the top. No, but yeah, join comment is a great thing. If you're not very apt at editing yet, it takes you 2 seconds, right? It's really intuitive, really great to use. Sometimes for the one that I want to make a bit more complicated, I use Premiere Pro, but it takes me about 5 minutes all up to choose the clip, put it in there, get something out, and then I just upload it, and that's it. And again, I've reached 100 subscribers on YouTube just from releasing 7-second shorts that I've done no promotion for, no thumbnails. I just upload it and tag it, and then people watch it. I mean, if you want to start a YouTube channel, that's a good way to start. I'm not saying it's the proper way to start, but it's an avenue that you can go down. So really take what it is, because I know there's another myth out there, fellas. Basically, if you're going for partner or you're going for affiliate or something, there's this thing where you get rated and then you tell the people, yo, if you're watching this, be sure to click over to my channel so that I can get the viewership numbers, because at the moment it's saying it's from a raid.
They say to control F5.
I'm so guilty. I used to be so guilty of this.
Yeah,
Full admission
here.
here. Used to be so guilty of it.
I rated into an amazing Aussie creator called Metal Fear, who I love. He's a Pokemon streamer and he's also a legend. I don't think he's partner yet, but he's been on the partner push for a little bit. And I rated into him a few weeks ago because he was doing a nighttime stream when Arceus, I believe, came out. And I got in there and he goes, hey guys, if you just want to hit refresh, it'll save you, it'll fix you up and get you in here properly. And I was just like, oh shit. I just wrote, Metal, just a heads up. I'm pretty certain that's against Twitch terms of service because it's trying to inflate your view count without using a raid referral. Yeah. Just a heads up. And he goes, oh, never mind then. Because it is. And I think a lot of creators keep getting rejected, right? Over and over. Like, I think most people get rejected for partner maybe 3-4 times. It's pretty normal.
Average,
yeah, about 3-4 times. And even then, it has nothing to do with your content. A lot of the time, it is also just metrics. Like, they have to figure out, like, how many people they can add. Are you consistent for this number? Do you ever drop below it? Whatever it is. There's all sorts of stuff. It's rarely even your content. But essentially, I knew this one guy who got rejected like 8 times in a row despite having 110 average viewers. And I was talking to him and I was like, what do you do? Like, what happens? Like, tell me about what you're doing for your partner push. And he gives me all these stuff, and everything's perfect, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, and when people raid me, you know, I do the classic thing where I ask them to refresh and stuff. And I'm like, whoa.
Rewind.
How about we stop doing that and see what happens? A month later, he was partner.
Yeah.
Because I think Twitch knows. I'm pretty sure Twitch knows. They can see it, right? And it specifically says in the partner application, you will be rejected if you have embeds, if you are trying to artificially inflate it, if you're doing blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a whole list of things there, which is another thing. It's like, if you have any of those things, they'll just reject you.
Yeah, like, I think even having like, you'd put like, you know, exclamation mark. I've seen a few people recently put exclamation mark partner in their title or partner push, like that kind of stuff as well. Like Twitch can see that. They can see your titles. Like, even if you change your title at the end of the stream, they can still see what it was beforehand. There is a paper trail
right there. Yes.
There is a paper trail.
It's not like they don't want you to get more viewers. It's just they don't want the data and the numbers to be skewed so that you can get more viewers. You know what? They just want you to, they just want you to have, like, they're just like, guys, it doesn't matter if you're getting X average viewers or Y average viewers. Just make good content, right? And I think this is a big thing in Twitch ANZ. If you're an ANZ creator and you want to get partner, honestly, the best thing you can do is just be a really good representative for ANZ.
Yes.
Like,
that's dead on. Yes.
Like, if you have good external funnels and good overall presence, and you've got connections to brands, you have the average viewers that are around 110 average viewers. I always say this to people. I always say it's not 75. It's like 110 consistently without raids. And you do all those things, then I think ANZ particularly just want to see that once you're at those things, you're the right representative for the community. And if you're not a good representative for the community, you're probably going to struggle a bit more if you're edgier and stuff. But again, I'm not connected directly to the staff. This is just what I've seen with the people who have been partnered and with those kinds of things. And a lot of the time, the metrics change depending on where they are in the year, how many people they're allowed to add, and all sorts of stuff.
Yes, there's a lot that goes into it. And I guess this leads into another one. I'm not sure if you want to talk about, obviously, the raids thing anymore. But the other one that we were talking about before we started the podcast today was about gimmicks. To stand out, you need to do as much as possible to make your stream the flashiest, the colorfulest, the most insane type of thing. Which, don't get me wrong, putting in the work is fantastic. And there's always an exception to the rule, because I'm sure a lot of people look at us and go, but Barjo has all these crazy alerts and everything. And definitely, like, Barjo has done it like perfectly, where it's a constant kind of interactive wonderland that you can just do anything and something will pop up on the screen.
Hot take though.
Yeah.
It's impossible for Barjo to turn any of his streams into a video because of it.
Yes. Unless he's got source record, and it's just his camera that he can
I don't think he does.
Yes.
I 100%, right? Like, the Barjo one is a really, really, really good example. And the gimmicks thing is what we were talking about before the podcast, because I just wrote this script that I was telling you boys about, and it's huge, right? Like, and I think it's like the rise of streamer education channels like my own has caused a big increase in people adding feature after feature after feature after everything. Here's how you integrate channel points so you can do all these X, Y, Zs. Here's how you do this. Here's how you have voice changes. Here's how you add these overlays where math flies at the screen and stuff like that and everything like that. And they slowly add more and more and more and more and more, because it used to just be funny alerts, right? And then people realized they could encourage people to interact more and be there more if they had bigger and better and more unique alerts to stand out. And those then they evolved into channel point integration or crowd control or all these things. And now there are a lot of small streamers who I'll visit or I'll be raided into, and it is just like, wait, what's the content here again? Is the content just us spamming bits at you while you try and talk to chat and things are happening? And that can be fine.
That
can be what you want
in some instances. Yes.
But if you're like me, where I feel like my best content and the content that I want to produce is stories, me telling stories, me having jokes, me talking to chat, me doing these things, well, it doesn't really work. In fact, it goes the completely opposite direction, because you're trying to tell a story, you're trying to do a long playthrough of Detroit Become Human, and then suddenly you've got coming in through your TTS 7777777, and that's fine in some instances.
Yes, it is.
But it doesn't work in all instances.
It's all about balance.
It's balance and moderation, because I've been to some streams. I'm not going to name names because obviously, you know, my preferences are completely different to other people's preferences. But when I go into a stream, I like a kind of interactive element of the streamer talking to the chat. And yeah, you can have those crazy, you know, screen effects and stuff. But if it happens continuously, it becomes so distracting that you've got to wonder, are people here for the streamer themselves, or are they here for the crazy effects? And I'm going to put this out there as a kind of example. Sushi Dragon is an amazing streamer. He has crazy effects that you've never seen before. He has like multiple, you know, computers hooked up. Everything happens like it's like a fever dream, right? It's like you're tripping on acid or something when you go in there.
Yeah, it's an experience.
Exactly. But how do you, as LJ was saying, convert that into content or a sponsorship brand deal when it is literally just effects happening? Because people are there for the effects. It's not there for, he definitely has a personality, don't get me wrong, but I would say that people are mainly there to see what kind of trippy stuff he's done within OBS or, you know, outside of it. And it really is that thing of like, you are putting yourself in a certain niche when you do these things. So just think about it from a brand perspective or a business perspective. If I do go this route of every time that somebody types exclamation point fart, there's a fart that goes off, and then there's a bit for 2 bits, and you know, a crazy airplane flies across the stream. When does it become too much for the viewer to go, you know what? I need a little bit of a break from this. I just want to chill out a bit more, because I know there's certain streamers that you go into and it is like, whoa, I feel overwhelmed right now. And again, exception to every rule, people really are into that. But I would say starting out, don't just put anything on the stream. Make it be organic to you. Because if your strength, like LJ was saying, like Nick is saying, is your stories, your personality, that is so going to distract from it. That is so going to take you down a different path that you do not want to go down. And people are there for that reason and not for you. So that's what I'd like to put out there.
It's been a long road for me personally, finding that balance of the channel point and bit cost and cooldown. So now we've reached a good point where even the regulars have learnt a bit of comedic timing as well. So they won't just hit something just because the cooldown's finished. They'll actually wait for a good moment to do it.
Yes.
And it kind of it's been quite fun. It's like we've got it's like, here's the tools of some fun stuff you guys can do, and they will use them in certain moments where it makes sense and it's funny. And it works out well, but it's been a long road to get there. So it's because it's not going to happen straight away. It's about educating your own audience and your viewers of like, here's this cool stuff, and then you find a balance with them. It's like, oh, look, this is happening too much. I've got to pull this. I've got to increase the cost, maybe increase the cooldown a bit more.
Yeah.
And people, if the cooldown's a bit higher, then they'll kind of wait for those good moments where it's funny, because they want to get their own enjoyment and entertainment out of it as well. So.
Dead on.
I think one of the things I do a lot, and I don't know if I should show it now. I can kind of show it now, but I've got these little things where I can be like, ooh,
yeah,
ooh. Like I can zoom in and out, right? I have the actual motion built in to being able to zoom in and out as if it's a real camera movement. And the thing about it is, in a weird way, it's almost worse for my YouTube channel. Super more engaging. But at the same time, the big issue is that if I then give this to my editor, Oeg, he can't add his own zooms and times with whatever music he's added. So people are like, oh, LJ's really not putting in as much effort to his things anymore. And it's like, well, you know, I've actually realized what I was doing was limiting myself long term, because in 60 days, that really interesting 10 minutes of me doing this back and forth while I tell a fun story, yes, that's just going to disappear.
Yeah.
In 60 days, that's going to disappear off Twitch. But if I don't do that and I just tell the story really engagingly and record it and give it to Oeg, he can turn that into something that'll last forever.
Yes.
And it's like I have to make a choice. Do I want to add the rain effect now? Or do I want to add it in post-production if Oeg finds it's good for the comedy, right?
Yes.
And there are times where I say I'll add it, times where I won't, and I have to decide those things on the fly. But here's the thing. If we look at large content creators and large streamers who are out there making videos from their content, the ones who have pushed through the small streamer gap that we're in right now and gone to the big leagues, there are 2 routes. They either go the What If Julia route, where it's like super just community focused, networking purely on Twitch, and they do have a lot of those alerts and they do work. And they've got a really good balance that, like, yeah, you know, it's like $10 for a big alert, right? Or it's like 100 subs for a really big alert. Like they're worth it, right? Here's the thing though, is that at the end of the day, we've talked about how it won't work, and the ones who really push to be the big ones are Ludwig or the Small Ants or these guys, and they don't have any of that because they know that if they have those things, it makes it almost impossible to edit. Like, you just can't cut that down into a usable piece of content.
Yes.
And I think Reapz and I talked about this in collabs recently, where something was happening in a collab for Phasmo, and one of us got distracted in chat. I got distracted by chat, and then I didn't see that Reapz died. And I missed a big funny moment. And I think it's the exact same concept for alerts and for gimmicks and adding these things, is that if you're there doing your stream, you might get a really big moment ruined because you yourself press a button or chat could activate a button.
Yes.
One of my moderators, who I think is a fantastic small streamer, her name's Midi Elfie, and everyone should go check her out.
Yes.
One of the things I really struggle with is every time I raid her, her viewers will activate, using channel points, voice mods for her. Now, voice mods are, for her, really, really funny, and they work really, really well for her community and her size. But when you get 100 people coming in, and they're on for like the entire time, it's really, it really quickly becomes too much. And so like, it really worries me because I'm like, oh, I hope that the people coming in don't leave because of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing, is trying to figure out like, where do you draw that line? And I don't think there is. No one should listen to this and think that we're saying remove all your stuff.
No.
I think all of us are trying to say, find what your core content is, and whatever you add should encourage and strengthen your core content. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely does. It has to be an organic thing. And I think I can talk about this in good faith because people would see my stream and go, that's a gimmick stream, right? I basically have a set. I'm on a late night talk show that's set in hell. And that's kind of the basis of it, right? But what I wanted to do, I didn't want to be the type of Dr. Disrespect character where he's always playing a character. I wanted to be myself, but in a unique situation. So when I do gameplay and things like that, it's just me in the bottom right, bottom left, like you would usually see. It's not like a thing where somebody can trigger it and then I go flying across the screen and everything like that. Because again, I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to, I want to be in control of things. You can be in control of alerts like sound effects and things. That's fine. I can riff off of that. But when we're getting to a big point, let's just say you're playing Elden Ring, you're about to get the final hit on the final boss, and then somebody activates a command and it cuts to a different scene, and then you've missed that moment completely. It's kind of, as we talked about, it's very detrimental in the long run. Find a nice balance where it's kind of not distracting, but again, it's additive. It is additive to you. It is additive to what your content is. And look into source record, because source record is probably one of the greatest things you can do, which basically removes all those alerts and just records directly from your source of your camera or your gameplay. And it doesn't have all those sound effects or crazy camera movements. So you can make a YouTube video out of it.
It does kind of suck though. It does kind of suck though. And I'm gonna get a little bit of flack for this, but Streamlabs is way better if you're trying to make YouTube videos. Because you can stream with Streamlabs and use their source recording feature to just turn off whatever sources you want to appear only on stream, and some will only appear in recordings. And you might be thinking, well, OBS has a plugin for that, LJ. And it's like, yeah, it does have a plugin, but the plugin is a massive fuck around. You actually have to like create the whole scene just for itself, only record that one. You got to record the camera, you got to record the thing. You can't record like just one thing. It's a massive mess around in comparison. Streamlabs is literally just, you just stream as normal, but down in the bottom right, you just click a button that says, this goes to stream, this goes to both, this just goes to recording, this just goes to stream. And you just do all that and it will just do it for you. And it is 1,000 times easier. When I had to switch from Streamlabs, this is ages ago, over to OBS, I had to cut out like a bunch of stuff on my stream because I wasn't going to bother with the source record plugin. It was too much work. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to deal with it. The CPU usage increased. Not by a huge amount, but it still increased by a decent amount that I was like, I don't want to do that. The whole reason why I use OBS is because it's got like 2% CPU usage compared to Streamlabs is 8% when I stream, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to push it up further again. And it's just like, man, if you want to make YouTube videos, got to throw it out there. Streamlabs source recording is just 1,000 times better than the plugin, I personally believe.
Yeah. Eventually, like it's, over time, like OBS Studio will, like some of these most used plugins eventually get added to Studio like natively, but it takes a long time.
Long time. And
a lot of the stuff that's in Streamlabs was plugins that Streamlabs were like, okay, we can build that plugin or buy a plugin like that and then put it into Streamlabs. And people go, well, that's scummy. And it's like, well, that's kind of business. Is you buy features or you add features and add competition, which kind of sucks. You shouldn't do obviously what they did to Lightstream, where you just copy the entire thing word for word. I'm not saying that, but it's part of the fact that like Streamlabs can build a product using funding from Logitech. Yes. And you can hate Streamlabs as much as you want. I'm not saying you shouldn't. They've made some really fucked up stuff. But at the end of the day, OBS is open source. It has to be crowdsourced, has to be done all this stuff. People have to like help and support them get to where they are. That's why plugins exist. It is good because it means flexibility. But at the same time, it does mean it takes a long time to get all this stuff added and to get all this stuff running, which kind of sucks because things like Transition Table is a great plugin. I think every single streamer needs Transition Table. Streamlabs is built in. You know what I mean? Source recording. I think every single streamer should use source recording. Streamlabs has it built in.
Some of these people that make plugins, like they're doing it of their own free time. Like they don't get paid. Like they don't like they're posting on the OBS is crowd funded, right? But it's the OBS team that gets the money. The people making plugins don't get that. So when eventually a plugin does get natively added into OBS, that's them, basically paying that person for otherwise they would never have been paid, which is a good thing.
Definitely. Excel
can we talk about
amazing.
Yeah. I got a myth on this.
Shoot.
A lot of people talk a huge amount of smack about Streamlabs. Okay? And for good reason. Obviously, there's a lot of problems. But a lot of the reasons why they talk smack about Streamlabs these days is obviously because of the Lightstream and the OBS issues. But what people hated on Streamlabs because of the OBS stuff and all that stuff like that. But they didn't see the outcome. And I want to point out that a lot of people are very intensely OBS supporters for good reason, because OBS is a fantastic tool. But if they didn't see a brand new partner about 5 to 6 days after OBS called out Streamlabs was added to the OBS partners page, Logitech, as a premium partner. Now, if you didn't know this, after everything happened,
I loved seeing this.
and the reason why OBS suddenly stopped tweeting about the drama and OBS suddenly said like we found a compromise and stuff like that was actually because OBS got given a big pile of cash by Daddy Logitech. And let's not pretend like the reason why it says Logitech on the premium partner page is Logitech and not Streamlabs. We know why it is, because if they had Streamlabs there, the backlash would be insane. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. Content creators and people out there dislike Streamlabs for the things they did to OBS.
Yep.
But if OBS turned around and said, we're all friends now, they've apologized to us, and they've given us a bunch of money, the backlash would be like, why didn't you stick to your principles? Why did you not stick to your principles and say no to them? They're a scumbag company. And you know what the worst part is? They still got that. I don't know if you guys have looked at their Twitter afterwards, but they were like, hey guys, we've reached a compromise. The Streamlabs are going to be working together in a mutual beneficial way, was their tweet or something like that. And they didn't mention they'd been paid off, but you can see it on the premium sponsorship page, right? And people were livid. They're like, okay, well, I'm glad you got paid, but like, why didn't you stick to your principles?
Yeah.
To be fair, like they did change the name. Like they OBS like got what they wanted. Like Streamlabs changed the name of the app, but then on top of that, it was like, we'll just also give you we'll be a premium supporter. Yes, of our own volition.
Yes.
I just think it's interesting because like at a certain point, it's like, Streamlabs has done some terrible things. I think their Prime service is one of the shittest services on the planet. Like, why do I need to pay $100 a year just so I can change my bot's name to be a custom name? You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to defend Streamlabs for the shitty things they do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of people hated Streamlabs because they stole and didn't credit OBS enough. So when OBS turned around and said, hey guys, we've reached a mutually beneficial concept, they're now crediting us, they've changed their name, and they've paid us off by a big sponsorship, right? OBS was happy with that deal. So suddenly these people change their tune and they start being like, why didn't you stick to your morals? I'm like, so you weren't actually upset on OBS's behalf. Because if you were, you'd be happy that OBS was in a good place now. You'd be happy that they've got funding now to keep making these tools.
It's a hate wagon, isn't it? It's like if you don't jump on this wagon that everyone's on, you're not truly looking out for the streamer, which I think is another thing. It's like if you compromise who you are as a streamer and you're not along with everybody else, then are you truly a content creator? Like it's this weird hive mind mentality at times where this is the meta, and if you don't go with the meta, you are not truly one of us.
Yeah, it's just take one person to have like a skewed opinion, like, you know, then firing back at OBS for then more people to jump on the bag. Like, yeah. Why did you take the money? Wow. Shame on you guys.
Curses.
It's funny, right, as well, because there's so much whataboutism and interesting stuff. Like we've always said on this podcast a lot that the YouTube Twitch debate, we don't want one to win because we believe competition is good for growth, right? We believe competition makes people be better, and it means the platforms will be better, which means content creators get that. And when I was talking to Harris Heller on that interview, we brought that up and we both agreed that the competition makes people grow. He said that he thinks Twitch is growing in the wrong direction. I can agree and disagree on some parts, but at the same time, at least it's about growth, right? Trying to be better.
Yep.
But the moment you talk about that in the OBS and Streamlabs situation, people completely just shut down. They could have been 5 seconds ago going, yeah, I totally agree. The YouTube versus Twitch thing, it's all about growth, make better platforms, make better tools for creators. That's awesome. And then you go, yeah, the same thing with Streamlabs and OBS. Hey, and they'll go, no, how dare you say that? No, Streamlabs is terrible. And you're like, yeah, okay, they've done bad things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the only reason why OBS is going to do any updates or add these things or have to rush to do these things is because there is sadly competition out there.
Yeah.
And the only reason why Streamlabs exists and has built .overlay importers, has got the transition table built into it, has added their own source stuff, is because they want to be used. You know what I mean? And like XSplit's another one. XSplit is working really hard and Gamecaster, all these people are working really hard to create better tools.
Yes.
And the reason they're trying to do that is because there is competition. And so if you just tell people, stop using that piece of shit app that isn't OBS, use OBS, well, then you're going to set yourself up that OBS is going to probably stall out pretty quickly. And there's not going to, you know, like.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I haven't heard from XSplit in a while. I haven't really seen stuff about them. Like, they've just kind of.
Do they rebrand? Are they Gamecaster now?
They could be. They may have changed their brand.
Yeah, because I was like, I mean, I haven't even really heard much of Gamecaster either. To be
I think this
honest.
is another myth as well that we can go into, which we kind of touched on before, I believe. It's that when you become a streamer, you have to buy the best peripherals or use the best programs out there to make a good stream. For instance, you know, we've got our Shure SM7Bs. If I didn't have this bad boy, I would be a one streamer Andy for sure. If I didn't have my Stream Deck baby, oh my God, how could I live? This keyboard, this Corsair keyboard, I would not be able to do streaming if it wasn't for
Are you
this.
Sponsored right now? Have you stuck a sponsor?
Listen, here's the thing.
Yo.
I've got a viewbot and I need to pay it up somehow. But I think there is this thing of like, if I want to really go and be a streamer, I have to have all the best equipment. And then you buy all this big time equipment and you realize, oh, wait, it just does. Don't get me wrong. It is great. It is a lot more convenient, but you don't need it to start off streaming. If that's your only reason, it's like, I can't start streaming until I've got this, and this, then you are not streaming for the right purposes, because as we talked about many times in the past, just like everybody else who starts streaming, you are going to have 0 people watching you. Learn how to use it and then go, actually, this will be really good for me because then I don't have to worry about all these hotkeys. I've got Stream Deck to do that for me. So really don't just buy everything that's being shoved to you on, say, our Twitch or Streamlabs or OBS, whatever they're saying that you need to buy, whatever forums they're like, you need this. Do not listen to them straight away. Do a few streams first, and then you'll quickly realize when looking back at your streams, look back at your streams, people. Oh, my camera's a bit crap. Oh, my audio's a bit crackly. I probably need a new microphone. Just really don't buy into the whole product placement marketing thing.
Have the bare minimum for a few streams, and then look. Some people off the bat, like, they have the disposable income and they make the personal decision that they want to invest.
Sure,
and that's fine. But regardless, do a bare minimum. Just see if you like it, and if you want to spend the money, that is purely your decision. That is totally fine.
Technically, I have less viewers now than when I had a webcam and a USB mic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, like,
technically, I've got less viewers now. I think it's really interesting because, like, at the end of the day, I think actually a lot of the time, the cheaper microphones are so much easier because if I gave someone, like, I don't like using this as the example because, like, you should buy something like a Samsung QTU. But if I gave someone like an AT 2020 Plus, so one of my mods, Cheeseman, he's a great little streamer, and we do collabs here and there. And one of the reasons I sent it to him was because I see him working really hard, right? Like, when I see someone working really hard, I want to support them. Like, I want to support them as much as I can. If I see someone like really pumping it, because I know that I've worked really, really hard, and all I wish that someone would do is look at me working hard and go, yeah, I'm in a much bigger position and I can help you. You know what I mean? Like, and I want to always make sure that I am that person. So Cheese, he's working really hard and I wanted to help and support him. So I sent him a PSA 1 and an AT 2020 Plus. because he was using a headset mic and he was making great content, but I just wanted to help him out. So I sent it to him as a
Yeah.
surprise. And he opened
That's
it live.
awesome.
He opened it live on stream. And so I was there like, and he thought I was sending him like a troll outfit or like something to mess with him. And then he opened it and he got a little bit like, oh, this is actually really wholesome and nice.
Yeah.
And then you're
shit,
like, check
okay.
your Discord. There's a rhino bait for you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
as always, you know.
You should have.
There's always
Oh,
a
you
rhino
should have
bait.
had like just like a printed image of the rhino bait
of
just
the
in the
rhino.
You know, I asked Amazon, but they wouldn't do it.
Damn.
I said, yeah.
God damn it, Amazon.
Yeah.
Come on.
But essentially, yeah. So I sent him that, and I think that was helpful, right? But like, that's the mic I started with.
Mhm.
And condenser mics have a lot of issues. Like, for example, they're way too sensitive, but they also so they pick up everything, including all your background noise, the planes that go over the top. But they also give you a much cleaner, natural sound without needing any EQ, right?
Yep.
Shure SM7B. This thing took me 8 months before I started getting a good EQ out of it, and it's only recently that I've started getting good EQ out of it.
Mhm.
And it's not like I don't understand EQ. I've spent time learning how to EQ. I've done audio on film sets. I've done so much work in sound and EQing things. But my voice is much harder to EQ myself than if I were doing it for someone else. And the
Yes.
Shure SM7B has such a wide vocal range and is so good at those things. I had to figure out what worked for me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. But my AT2020, 0 EQ needed. I chucked a limiter on that shit. I chucked some noise suppression to remove a fan from behind me off that. And I think I also added a noise gate so people couldn't hear, the lower end stuff like that and whatever. And it sounded crisp and clean. In fact, a lot of people still to this day preferred my AT2020 to this.
Wow, they bring it up in your chat. They're like, I
Man.
preferred your old mic.
Well, no, it's like when we review like old clips of me and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
They'll be like, oh damn, you were real crisp.
You were very wet, baby.
Yeah, it's like you sounded really good. And I'm like, thanks, man. Hey, can I talk about another myth?
Shoot.
That I think a lot of people out there, content creators, will spend ages EQing their mic and they'll sound like this and they'll go like, oh, way, and you can hear that kind of crispness in it. But I think that, yeah, sure, that might sound good. But I think that people take it one step too far and suddenly it sounds like absolute fucking garbage. It sounds like they've put their head in a tin can and they've over EQ'd it and it sounds really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw it out there. Small streamers, really heavily think to yourself, do you actually need all these Reaper plugins, all this EQ, all this shit? And have you gone too far? Because I think a lot of people go way too far. And you can't hear it yourself. Like you can't, because you're so anxious about how your voice sounds. You're so nervous about how your voice sounds. You don't like the sound of your own voice. So you push it so extremely.
Yeah.
And then it ends up just sounding overproduced, unnatural, and kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's a less is more situation. Like with my EQ, it's a very like I don't go like to any extremes. It's just a very like drop it at 1 or 2 notches here, drop it at 1 notch up here, maybe leave this one at 0. Like it's a very less is more. And yeah, it's sometimes you need to obviously record it, listen back, and then get some other person's opinion as well to listen, someone else to different to listen to you to see like, hey, how does this sound compared to this one? But yeah, less is more. With a compressor, don't go too crazy on it. Like compressors are good, but like you want them. There's a balance.
Yeah,
there is a balance.
We talked about gimmicks before, and there is the thing of like you can go too far. So like audio, like visual, keep them in the same kind of stead.
And do not just copy someone else's EQ.
Yes.
Holy crap. When I watch videos about how to EQ mics, because there are thousands of them out there of people doing guides, and they're like, hey, so here's how you do this thing. And they'll just give you some jargon about like rip these low ends out, boost these high ends, rip these mids down. And they'll be like, set it exactly to this and do exactly that. And people copy that. And then they go and they talk and they sound like this because their voice wasn't or like legitimately, right? Like it does. It's bad. Like if I'm EQing this microphone and my voice, right? But I just copied like an actual guide on how to EQ a mic, it would sound probably fucking terrible because I've got a bit more of a nasally voice than most creators. Most creators are a bit more like deeper voice and they give themselves that kind of vibe to it. But like another thing, you watch a video about how to EQ with a Go XLR, right? Everyone does when you get a Go XLR. You go watch a video about how to EQ with it. And they'll usually teach you some things about how to EQ. They'll tell you what to put in, right? But if I was using a Shure SM7B and I copied it, it may sound great. It could sound bad. But if I was using my little pod mic, which I have on my shelf behind me, that I started out with my Go XLR, and I followed like, say like a California smile is what someone calls it, or where you lift those high ends and drop those mids and then drop the low ends and stuff, I would sound like a nasally tin can because every mic is different.
Yes.
And the pod mic picks up the trebles really, really too much. So you don't do a California smile with a pod mic. You rip the mids out, you boost a little bit of that low end without like getting all the sounds,
Mhm.
and then you actually a lot of the time have to drop a little bit of those high ends down a bit on the pod mic so that you don't sound like this. So you don't sound like you're talking into a tin can like you're an Australian from Wagga Wagga. You know what I mean?
How do you know my dad?
Sorry.
Damn.
Damn it. God damn. But you're
But, like,
exactly
it's all
right.
different, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's just this thing of like, you watch the tutorials and it's great. YouTube are great for tutorials. Anywhere out there, you type in something, but just know that it really does depend on the variables, because
Yeah.
Shure SM7B is completely different to, cardioid and your dynamic mics. And I don't think a lot of people know that. They're just like, let's just quickly put in what this person's doing. And then they're like, why do I sound crap? Well, they said that this is the best. So this is probably the best that it can ever will be. Really experiment, like take your time out of the day to learn more about it. There was a recent like Harris Heller video, I think, that he put out. It's like, this is what separates the 300 viewer, streamers to like the 1,000 viewer streamers, right? And he's saying that that's learning a specific skill and
Yeah.
really making it your own. Now,
This
I
was,
don't know
by the way,
whether-
going to throw it out there. I didn't watch it. I hope
Yeah.
he credited me. Because
Oh,
this
really?
was the interview. This was what we talked about on the interview. I said, what separates them?
I had a
Yeah.
feeling because I saw that video pop up in my notifications feed in YouTube, but I haven't watched it yet. So
Because I made a whole thing. Like the interview was literally, I wanted to know about that and I wanted to hear all about it. And he didn't really, like, he gave me a little bit of info on it, but he didn't really give too much. And it looks like he's been inspired by our conversation to go make this other video.
Get those goddamn royalties right now.
yeah.
I'm not saying he's copied my content, but a
Yeah.
little bit of like, hey, I was recently talking to LJ on his Twitch stream, and he asked me about these things because he thinks that most creators are struggling with it.
You
And
should, you
here's
should leave a
this.
comment and be like, I'm glad that talk helped.
Smiley face. Yeah, definitely. But sorry, go on, LJ. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I also have a thing about this, right? Because we talked about this after the Harris Heller podcast, after the Harris Heller interview. You and us three talked about this on the podcast, and I have a huge amount of respect for Harris, and I think he's right that learning an actionable skill is the big difference between whether you fail or not, and all that stuff. And it separates the big people from the small people. But part of me also really disagrees, because like, I'm tired, guys. I'm
Yeah.
really tired. Like
Mhm.
I've been doing this for 2 years. I don't know how the fuck you guys are doing this, but I am tired as
Cocaine.
fuck.
Yeah,
I
go
spent,
on. Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
I spent the
Oh,
last
yeah.
6 months
You too?
releasing far out. But I spent the last 6 months releasing a video once a month because like I was so burnt out.
Yep.
Like I was so burnt out from putting so much time, so much energy in and not being able to break that 250 mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I've learned actionable skills. I've spent hours every day researching. I've done everything I could. I had my foot down to the pedal. I was doing so much work, right? And I was never breaking 250 average viewers, okay? And I'm sitting there and like, okay, so now I've taken this massive dip. And the massive dip is because I took my foot off the pedal because I was fucked. I was burnt out. I had spent too much time doing this stuff. And I was like, I'm going to take my foot off the pedal. And that's hurt me. Obviously, it's hurt me. No questions asked. It's hurt me in my average viewership. And I really respect Harris's opinion. I think he's right. It does separate you. But at the same time, I spent 18 months, man, with my foot down to that pedal, learning new skills, putting it out there. I think I was more successful than 90% of content creators who get into this in their first year and a half. And I'll
Without
tell
a
you
doubt.
what, I will tell you what right now. It's not that I wasn't learning new skills. It wasn't that I'm not separating myself. It's that this is fucking hard and I am tired, right? Like,
I'm so
Yeah.
I hope people don't take this as an insult to Harris and his feedback and his advice.
No.
But the concept of, the reason they get thousands of viewers because they're out there learning marketable, actionable skills and stuff like that. That's great. But man, I'm out. I've got over 9 million views on Stream Scheme in under 18 months.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. And I
Yeah.
never managed to break the 300 average viewer mark without raids or sponsorships. The highest I've ever gotten was Valheim. I started averaging 250 viewers.
That's awesome.
Right. And that's great. But I for 6-7 months, I stagnated at that size. I had a huge turnover rate. I was a variety streamer. I was learning new skills and I was doing my best. But at a certain point, it's not really, it doesn't feel like it's in my, maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel like it's in my control anymore.
No, I was going to say that with the video that I was watching, I wasn't sure if I completely agreed with it because, yeah, you can learn the skills and you can put them out there. But again, you still have to be discovered. You have to have this funnel for people to see it because you could put out the greatest piece of work ever. But if you don't have like the subscriber base or it doesn't pick up on the algorithm, then no one's really going to see it. But what I was going to say, this also goes into another myth. And that is if you grind and grind and grind and grind, it will pay off. I just want it to be known that we are living in a very competitive market in content creation, whether that's on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, whatever. You have a lot of competition out there and you've got a lot of different funnels and avenues to go out there. And the current meta, I believe that still to this day, a lot of small streamers believe in is that the only way that you can make it on Twitch is if you go live 8 hours minimum a day, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. And that is to like, you don't have a social life, you are burnt out, you're just playing the same game over and over, you create that base. And that to me is one of the biggest problems out there because you will grow to hate it faster than you grew to love it.
Yeah.
And it will not pay off because people, I believe, when I go into a stream and I see someone suffering there, like, that they're just there for the sake of being there, it's not enjoyable for anyone. If you're having an off day and you're feeling salty and toxic and you go live and you can see that emanating through your pores and you're watching this person where it's emanating through their pores, that is not the environment you want to have for your viewers who are established and new people coming in. You have to be smart in your approach. And grinding and grinding and grinding is not that approach. If you're just going to sit in the same category of Fortnite or New World or whatever the biggest game, Elden Ring, you're not going to be discovered. So I would just say that you have to take your smarts. And I'm not going to go into this too much because we talked about it many times in different podcasts, but go back and listen to this podcast, please. But seriously, grinding is this big myth. You got to grind to make it on Twitch, which I do not believe is true today.
No. And adding to this, I fell for a trap, boys, and it's a dumb trap, and I'm more than welcome to admit my mistake. Yes. Yeah, you should see my TikTok algo.
Yeah.
I have a huge amount of respect for Devin Nash. And I one of the big things for me is that I honestly believe that people like Devin and Harris and stuff like that, they're right and I'm wrong, which is probably not the best approach, but I have a huge, I lack self-confidence in my opinions. I'm very quick to be like, am I an idiot? Which is good in some ways because it keeps me, keeps me grounded, right? It keeps me grounded and that's good. And it's like, that's brilliant. And it also means that I'm not going to get so arrogant that I can make a video about whatever I want. Like I only made a video about TikTok last night because I started seeing success on TikTok and I felt like I could share my experiences.
By the way, can we talk about this afterwards of the whole? Yes.
Yeah. And so I respect their opinions on a lot of things, and I take a lot of it at face value. And one of the things that Devin said in one of his videos was, once you're at 100 to 150 average viewers, you should stream more. He said that's when it is you should stream more because that's when you're at that size, you can just stream more and you will be able to grow. And at this stage, I was at like 150. I started seeing my dip, and I was kind of struggling. And I was like, what do I do? How do I pull myself out of this nosedive? Because originally my nosedive, I was like, I'm just gonna make more content. I'm going to make more content on other platforms. I'm going to go make more YouTube stuff. I'm going to do this, going to do that, going to do this. And I was like, cool, I'll do that. And even if the nosedive continues, at least I'll have other things. But I watched that video where he was talking about these things and he says, if I watch 100, stream more. And I was like, okay, maybe I will stream more. And I started doing longer streams. And then I added my Monday stream. And I'll tell you what, my productivity in every other side was fucked suddenly. I stopped being able to produce as many videos. I was more tired. I couldn't produce other content on other platforms easily. Like everything was just so heavily thrown out. I'll tell you what, I didn't see more growth. And I felt like such a numpty because I know that's not how it's supposed to be. I know that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like I've taught others and I've taught myself, but in my head I was like, there is no YouTuber out there making content for creators of my size, our size. There is no one out there who, because once you can make content that teaches people how to grow to 1,000 viewers, you don't make stream education content anymore, right? If you have the marketable skills of someone like Ludwig, Disguised Toast, any of these guys, you're not going to spend your time doing education videos, right? And I stand by that. I've always said the same thing, is that I'm an entertainer first, and I'm doing the streamer stuff in order to keep myself on ball and to share my failures. But I'm not going to tell someone how to get to 1,000 viewers because I've not gotten to 1,000 viewers, right? But there is nobody out there who's like, hey, I have 3,000 viewers. I love digital marketing and I love education for people of that size who make content for us. Because when we get to our size, the only piece of advice that people give us is make a YouTube channel. That's it, right? We just get told make a YouTube channel, and that's fine. I get it. That makes sense. So when Devin started making some content that was a bit more like focused towards people of our size, I really heavily took it on. Like I was like, fuck, okay, this is someone I believe in. This is someone who has more viewers than me. This is an expert, and I have huge respect for Devin. But it wasn't the case. And I need to remind myself that streaming more doesn't equal success, even if you're at 150 average viewers. The myth of the grind doesn't stop just suddenly because you're a little bit higher in the categories. And I think that was a big moment for me, was realizing like, oh shit, no, this isn't right. What am I doing? I need to make content. I need to push my content. I need to do these things that I always believed in, that I was already doing. I shouldn't just be streaming more. And I don't know, thoughts on this, on the concept. There's no one out there to teach us, so we fail a lot more than probably others.
We definitely don't have that North Star in the sky to be like, this is how you do it. Because again, even if you do release a video, it's like, here's how I got from 150 to thousands. If everybody then copies that meta, chances are that's going to dissipate. And like Nick talked about earlier in the episode, it's going to be invalid in 6 months' time, because then everyone copies the same thing and people can see straight through it. So it's definitely hard. I think it's a lot easier when you're starting off streaming to have those guides, because it's like, I don't know anything. What am I supposed to download? What's this? What's OBS? What does that even stand for?
Everyone can go from 0 to 25. If everyone uses the exact same guide, they can all get to 0 of 25.
Yeah.
It's pushing past 50 viewers, pushing past 100 viewers, pushing past 200 viewers.
Yes.
There's no advice out there for that.
No,
that fits everyone.
There's no solution. And I mean, sure, like you've got a lot of people that very much operate in a niche of like a single game or maybe 1 to 2 games. And when that's they're entirely their focus, like all the, their YouTube channel is Apex. Their streams are Apex. Like when you are niche down to the one specific thing, then what I've seen is that people do kind of break past 200 and they kind of hit that 300 mark, maybe even that 400 mark, because it's that one specific thing, people going in for that one specific thing. But anytime you're trying to, any type of diversification, or you try to mix it up, have some different things, it's like, bang, it's like you hit that wall.
Well, as variety streamers, us three, and any variety streamer out there will know this, is that as variety streamers, we're always going to have to work 1,000 times harder than someone in a niche content. Because if every single night you know exactly what game you're going to be playing, you just have to add a slight twist to it, or a challenge to it, or something like that, that's much easier than having to consistently convert people into being there for your personality. And people like Sandwich, I really respect, because they've done it so well, because they are such an entertaining, such a talented person. And I think it really goes to show that, like, you can say to someone, yeah, this is what separates you from the big guys, is you haven't gone out and learned those marketable, diversible skills, or marketable, valuable skills. And it's kind of like, well, no, it's not that simple. I think, and maybe I'm getting a bit raw here, but like at the end of the day, I'm fucking spent, boys. Like I legitimately, like, over the last 6 months, there have been several times where I'm like, it'd be so much easier if I just decided fuck it and called up another brand and said, hey man, I grew this channel in under a year. I could do the same thing for you guys. I got a job offer the other day. For the same price I'm on now, as a normal job, work from home, where I just run another YouTube channel. And I was like, you know what? I could just say yes. And all this stress, all of this, all these people saying, all these people saying to me, Ratio L, you fell off, you suck and stuff. And it's like, it's gone. I can just say, well, you know what? I get paid what I get paid. I get to make videos, and I no longer have to worry about it.
Yes.
I turned it down.
Yeah.
Because I want to stream and I want to do this stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I was sat there and it was tempting.
Yeah. And I think that really goes on to the very last myth before we should probably head on to the Q&A, is that if you are a streamer, it is a dream job. Because it is, you back me up, and obviously I'm very biased because I'm a streamer. It is the most stressful situation to be in, because you are solely reliant on yourself. And if you don't get those sponsorships, if you don't get those viewerships, if you don't get those subs, if you don't get those bits or those donations, you do not have an income. If I could show you my pay from month to month, it is like a goddamn heartbeat. You know what I mean? Some months I'm like, yes, I can afford this and I can do that. Other months I'm like, holy crap, I need to budget all the way down now.
Cup ramen this week.
Yeah, ramen and peanut butter on toast is great. But the thing is, there's always going to be pros and cons, and I don't want to ever feel like, oh, dude, woe is me. I'm doing streaming. I'm playing video games for a living, and it's hard. But it is hard to the extent that, you know, you do have to viably make it a profession. You do have to run it like a business. And if you're not hitting those margins of net profit, then really you're unemployed to an extent. You are in the red.
You're bleeding money.
And that's another big myth, is that being a streamer is the be all end all. Because I guarantee you'll do it and it'll be so great for that first year, maybe even 2 years. But then it hits in. It's like, I'm doing this every single day. I've got to go on 4 days a week in my situation. And there are those days where you feel so spent and so burnt out that you're like, I just don't want to be seen. I want to crawl under a doona and just not be seen by the world. And, you know, just this, you know, just let it flood out and let other people deal with it, because I'm just sick of being switched on, as it were.
Well,
But,
the thing you got to remember about
lead-
dream jobs is that
Yeah.
it may be your dream job, but once you have your dream job, the fear of losing said dream job is way stronger. If you're working at Macca's, losing a job is losing a job, and it sucks.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're like, fuck it, that's Macca's done. I'm whatever, right? This isn't an insult to Macca's. I'm just saying, like, we've all had retail jobs that don't mean anything. We're doing it to get paid, right? But when you achieve your dream job and you can do it full time and you have those things, yeah, it's your dream job. But also, holy shit, it sinks in that this is a high competitive, high turnover, and highly likely that you're going to lose said dream job. And it is a lot of work to not have that happen. And it's just very hard and very tiring to have people turn around and look you in the eye and go, oh yeah, the reason why you're not successful, you didn't build a marketable, diverse skill that allowed you to grow. And it's like, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
9 million views, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like what? Like what? You know, like,
to go on,
and that's not just Harris, that's everyone, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah, to go on what Reap said, I think another thing, I think, like, I'm not sure if you see it more or less nowadays, but like, I remember when people thought once you got the check mark, the biggest myth, get the check mark, you're great, you're chilling, you're fantastic. It doesn't. No. If anything, you have to work even harder once you get the check mark.
That's when it like starts, man, because
that's
people
when it's
expect
real
a certain level of you. You know what I mean? Because even though, like, Nick, you are a partner, like, you are definitely a partner. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You create a high quality stream each and every time. And when you get that check mark, which it definitely will happen, you're going to find out the exact same thing that, you know, everybody else is, that you're doing the exact same thing, except there's a lovely little tick next to your name, and no one gives a shit about it outside the people who want that tick.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. That's it. And like, that's been, especially since, you know, starting the stream room, and I guess getting closer to both of you guys at the same time, like, making me realize that my whole mental state has changed a bit, where it's like, I'm just focusing on the fun, the passion, making the good stuff. And that's just not, like, it doesn't matter. It's like, I'll get that. Yeah, I know. And like, people say like in chat to me as well in streams, like, oh, hey, you know, surely you're close. Surely get it soon. I'm like, yeah, we're close.
You kind of hate that though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you deserve partner. Yeah, well, I don't have it yet. Please stop bringing up that I do.
I had that for 3 years as well.
Like,
I was just like,
oh my god,
shut up.
I've heard the last 3 years. I say to people, like, we'll get it eventually. I know we will. It's not a matter of if. I know it's a matter of when. Like, I have the confidence in myself that I know the content is good, the numbers are there, and it's just a matter of you know, showing Twitch that I am consistent and that we do bring in people. Just takes a bit more time. But no, I had those people where I had those people for so long that were just like, you should be way bigger. You should be like streaming to 1,000 viewers.
They mean well. They mean
do
well.
mean well.
And it's very kind. It's very, very, very kind. But I think, I don't know about you boys, but when you're in a situation like mine, where you have, you know, you have had a rough time and you've fallen off a bit, and, you know, you are trying to figure out why that happened. And the only real reason you can find as to why that happened was you weren't good enough compared to everyone else, right? Like, I know it's not true.
Yes,
that's the only real reason you can land on, right?
Yes.
The real reason is technically like
the mental trap.
It happens, but that's where you land. And when you're feeling that way and you're just trying to make good content, and someone's like, man, why don't you have 2,000 viewers? You really deserve it. You're like, sat there like, I really appreciate that, my man. But like, I'm asking myself that every single day. I'm asking myself why my 4.5 million unique viewers over on Stream Scheme, because usually one person will watch 2 videos, so 9 million, 4.5. I'll be like, why do they not? want to watch me here, and it's obvious. I know there are reasons. You know, they want education. I don't do education. And if I wanted to, I could probably get easy viewers if I just sat there every night and just chatting, only doing streamer education.
But your soul, your creative soul, is just out the window. Then, as we talked about, it's gone.
We should move on to if you guys are ready to move on. We got to quickly go.
I was saying
before Q&A, we want to do our goals.
Yeah, I was about to mention the goals. Let's go back and see if we reached our goals.
I'll run through some of your SMART goals that you guys set 3 weeks ago, so you should have them all finished now. And I'll ask you guys how you did on these things. Let's kick it off with Reapsy boy. Reapz, did you contact or put any work in place to organize more PogChumps?
Yes, and I not only did it for creators PogChumps, I did a Kahoot PogChumps with my chat. I did it around Valentine's Day in February, and people seemed to really enjoy it. So definitely one for the future. So yes, I did, and I did an extra little PogChumps as well. So tick.
Did you create the quote of the day scene you wanted to do?
Yes, I did, and it's gone over like a charm. People are like, I finally got quote of the day when I say that's the quote of the day. So it's been really, it's been good. It's been very good.
That's awesome. Well, those were your 2 SMART goals. Sounds like you crushed it. I'm not going to make you set new ones right now because we forgot for 3 weeks. So
yes, very good.
Next week, maybe we'll revisit.
For mine, I wanted to re-engage more animations and more movement dynamics and more overlays in my stream. And I wanted to do this during streams where I wasn't going to be turning into YouTube videos. And I definitely have. I absolutely 110%. I think I absolutely have. Contact someone for collabs, sort of. I joined a stream team, and I've been talking to a lot more of those people. I have an interview that I'm going to be jumping on someone else's podcast. I'm betraying you boys next Monday, and I have started kind of offline collabing a bit, but I haven't locked in an actual full collab because honestly, I've just been in a bit of a weird headspace in terms of the content I'm producing. So rather than asking someone to come on and make content with me and blah, 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 instead I've just been kind of laying the groundwork, getting it sorted. But I think I might try and organize some Super Mario Party, same as we did like the other Monday, and see how people are doing. And I thought with us boys, we could look at maybe doing a cheeky Q&A podcast where Tuesday or one of the nights when we normally record this, we do it live and we let chat ask questions.
Okay.
And
I like this.
And the entire podcast is just answering questions. And we just have to be real careful not to say anything naughty.
Yeah.
Well, we're fucked.
We're so screwed.
And then my third SMART goal was I wanted to introduce weird news. And this is maybe an interesting point to take away from my SMART goals. Weird news was this idea that people could submit funny and weird news to me. And then once every 3 days, someone could redeem a channel point to do weird news. The very first time we did it, I started stream and I from general chatting, just from messing around, having fun, talking. I got to about 130 average viewers. And then I brought weird news in and I lost 30 average viewers over the 10 minutes of reading the article and laughing and making jokes about the article. And I went down to 100 average viewers. And I spoke to people and it just, apparently people just, it wasn't they didn't like it. It was just that it stopped the momentum that they liked. Okay. And, you know, they'd clicked on the go live because they wanted to come talk to me and have a laugh with me and stuff like that. And they felt like it kind of distracted away from why they'd come. And that's fair. I take that on board. Am I going to keep doing weird news? I've got it paused currently while I try to figure out how I can bring it back in a better way. For example, I've also paused my clip competition while I try to bring it back in a better way. And I've been trying to integrate more community stuff, but I'm struggling a little bit to find how it integrates. And I think that weirdly, I know this sounds strange, it was the gimmicks thing. I've been adding all these community gimmicks and all these things to try to do this stuff, but in reality, I honestly should just go live and do a tier list or chat and just go back to my roots of just being me on camera, and it will work better than all this other stuff, weirdly.
But you're trying new things.
Exactly.
You're experimenting.
You're not treading water. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm trying to improve and trying to find what works. Onto good old Nicky Poo.
Let's go, baby.
Did you contact anyone for collabs?
Yes, and yeah, it went ahead. I played Fogs with Walkerman last Sunday, and it was honestly some of the best fun. We both were crying, laughing the entire time. It was amazing. It was actually a really, really great stream. It was a slightly bit different from both of our kind of usual content, but it still worked. So that went really, really well. Like we both sort of felt good afterwards, and we really had a great time. So it was good. Nice. People enjoyed it as well. It was great.
Awesome. I don't think I even need to ask you this, but I will, because you already mentioned earlier tonight that you did it. You wanted to adjust your engagements to be more additive to your stream rather than distractive.
Yes.
Distracting?
Yes. Yeah. Subtractive. Yeah, no, absolutely. We did that. Like,
Attractive.
removed a bunch of bunch of different redeems. moved a bunch of redeems, added some that are a bit more subtle, and fun, kind of freshen things up a bit better. And yeah, and that's always going to be an ongoing process. But yeah, definitely we fine-tuned that quite a bit as well.
Awesome, man.
That's great.
Look at us go.
And then we had to learn new skills as well before we do our Q&A. There's only two
Yes,
questions of the Q&A
course.
today, but that's fine. Learning new skills. I wanted to refresh myself on YouTube retention rate, which I like heavily did. And to prove that I did, my 3 big takeaways was I'm back riding emotion for the first 5 seconds. So I one of the big things people always tell you to do is be like Mr. Beast with like, you've got 5 seconds for your intro and then you got to get into the content. And yes and no. Yes, I think if you're aiming to connect with certain audiences, yeah, 5-second intro, 8-minute video in 6 seconds. That's what Mr. Beast does on a lot of his content, right? Especially his React content. I personally don't think that fits my audience, which may sound dumb. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't want my intros to be 5 seconds, and I don't want people to feel like they are constantly needing something to happen or else they leave. Because I am aiming for more of a Northern Lion-esque audience. I'm aiming for more of a Ludwig audience. I'm aiming for more of a PewDiePie audience, because honestly, a lot of those audiences are actually a lot older. They're like the 16 to 25 or even older than that. But I think the Mr. Beast is much younger. It's like young teens, and I think that a lot of people who watch those first 5 seconds, and if they don't get engaged, I don't know if I really want that community. I'm aiming for a bit more mature audience that doesn't want to be bombarded. Like we were talking about this earlier. I don't know if it was on or off podcast. We've talked a lot today so far. But like the idea of like, if the only thing that someone's watching you for is there's a flashing light every 5 seconds or there's some crazy stuff going on, is that really what you want? Is that the audience you want? So for my retention rate stuff, yeah, I did refresh myself really hard on it. And I'm not going to do the 5 seconds or else we're over. Instead, I'm going to do a bit more of like promise, emotion, good hook, stuff like that to try and engage people. But at the end of the day, it might fail. But I have refreshed myself on my retention rate. Next up was Nick. You wanted to do a thumbnail deep dive.
Yes, and very much did so with major help from you, both of you, especially LJ with the input on the thumbnails. So
I was
Matt
very mean to you.
You were very mean, but it was good. I needed it. I needed it. I needed to be degraded hard.
Degraded.
Yeah.
I remember writing back to you. I wrote back to you. I said, I have a lot of thoughts, but I want to word them the right way so I don't upset you.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit. And then I wrote back like a good few paragraphs just being like, don't know why you did this, this, and this. It looks a bit shit. I would just do this, this, this.
Yeah.
Look at these examples. And I felt kind of bad, but at the same time, I was like, nah, Nick will get this. Nick will understand it. You know, it's hard when it's your own content.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think we're at that stage now, boys, where we can be quite honest with each other and we're not going to take it to heart. We know it's constructive criticism.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the first thing I said to LJ was, no, be harsh. Like I want the good stuff. And yeah, so I went through so many revisions of the thumbnails and looking at other channels and what makes them clickable, what makes them engaging, that catches the eye. And then by the end of it, I feel like I settled on a really, really good thumbnail.
One of your
the best. Yeah.
One of your best. You didn't show me the final result, which is for the best reason, because I probably would have been like, still needs work. But that's not because it's you. Like I upload my own thumbnails and I sit there and I'm like, this is shit and still needs work. 700,000 views on it, but I still think it's shit. You know what I mean?
Like your recent thumbnail, you're like, I went through 17 iterations of all trash.
I did, yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the best thing about, I remember this specifically, LJ, from back in the day. I think you were messaging me, messaging back and forth about things. And one of the tidbits that you dropped was, I'm going to post this video tomorrow and I have a backup thumbnail and a backup title if it doesn't go well in the first X amount of hours. And I was like, damn, that is smart as hell. So
I used to do that for every single video. I thought I'd have a reason for why I thought they'd want to click. So a title that kind of like made them want to click and a thumbnail that made them want to click. And then I'd make a backup for each of those things that is a completely different reason of why I think they'd want to click.
Yeah.
And my big thing there is that I wanted to like push it. But I stopped doing that over the last few months because it's just a huge amount of work, which again, as I said, guys, I'm tired as fuck, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I all this work was being super successful, but it wasn't helping the stream and stuff. So I don't know. But yeah, so thumbnails are huge. But I think yours is great. I think yours is really, really cool.
Yeah, very clean, very nice.
And I think as long as you keep looking at why that one works or doesn't work and progressing forward, you'll smash it.
Yeah, the video itself, like, I mean, it's been out for like I think a week or so. It's on around the 50-60 view mark. So like, but that's again
it's a new channel.
exactly. I haven't
Yes.
posted on it in like quite a few months. So like, I'm
Mm.
not letting the view count of the video
No.
hurt me, and because I know that. And you know, it's still gonna be a searchable video, you know, down the track when people
Yes.
want to learn about the headset.
It's
So
evergreen, you know. It's not just something that's going to like be over when people are like, oh, this headset. Because I did the other day. I was like looking up, I don't know, some peripheral, and then I went to a YouTube video from like 8 months back, and it was like, boom. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
okay, you
Yeah,
are definitely in the Google SEO now. Holy sheesh.
oh yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
to like eventually I want to get to, you know, being able to. I'm trying to get myself used to the rhythm of like idea generation, scripting, editing, and all that, and that kind of that whole pipeline.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, the more I do it, the better I'll get at it, and kind of be more efficient at it. So that's kind of where I am at right now.
Or
'Cause
it takes, remember, it takes 20, 30 videos, right?
Yeah.
Like every video, if you're going the search intent and you're going the Google algo and you're going all that VSEO stuff, we say it all the time to people, it takes 20 to 30 videos before they even understand what the channel is about. You know what I mean? If you're going variety, it's way harder. But if you just have one channel that is just devoted to like one thing, it's just tech or it's just headphones or whatever it is, 20, 30 videos, you should start seeing performance because people who are interested in the topic will start getting served the videos because YouTube now understands what you're about. And that's fine. That's good. That's how it is. So, you know, when I started Stream Scheme, my first 20 videos were only getting like 50 to 100 views, 50 to 300 views. And then one of them blew the fuck up, got 500,000 views in like a month. And the rest of them got like a couple thousand views, and then they all hit the algorithm, they all hit search results, and they just blew up, right?
You had that catalog. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how search works. And it's one of the things that one of the reasons why when we dropped this podcast, we had 4 videos out. We had 4 episodes out, or 3 or 4 episodes out on this channel before we announced it to anyone. And the reason was we want people to watch one video and then go, that was a good episode, I'll watch the other episodes. And they go watch the other stuff. And to YouTube, it goes, this channel is about X, and these people have large session time on it, so we're going to recommend this more.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Reapz,
Yes.
did you learn StreamerBot?
Well, in terms of learning StreamerBot, I definitely did a deep dive on YouTube tutorials about it. And again, we're talking before about how it being additive and not, you know, subtractive to a degree. So I've basically honed in on the bits that I want to focus on, not the bits where it's like change scenes, you know, you can change the scene with this person and this person. So yeah, it's very interesting. You may not, I'll cut to a wide, but all this shit behind me right now is because I am moving offices to next door practically. So it's kind of like a whole big reboot for me, and I'm stressed out of my goddamn mind. But it is that nice thing of like going, okay, now's the time to think over. If I had to restart my channel again, what am I really focusing on? And that's what I've been doing. And StreamerBot has helped me with that in terms of, you know, sound effects and things. I don't want it to be distracting, as we talked about before. So yes, I did deep dives into YouTube videos, but I've not yet done it in StreamerBot.
Nice.
Itself.
Okay. I think that's fine. Honestly, it's just about researching into those things. I don't think your learning a new skill was meant that you had to become an expert. I think it was more just looking into it.
No. I did a deep dive, and it's definitely for me over Leo on board because I just need very intuitive stuff, and it seems quite more intuitive. Yeah.
Yes.
StreamerBot's incredibly powerful. I personally don't think I would ever need it on my stream. I know a lot of people say like, but you can use it however you want. It's like a stream deck, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but I just don't, right? Like I just don't need it, you know? On the topic of gimmicks as well, it's like Ludwig the other day was live and he played some stupid fart sound effects or something like that. And then he just giggled to himself and goes, every single small streamer when they get a stream deck. Which is so true, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like, farts are always fun.
You just constantly pressing buttons all
like,
the time.
Soundboards, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I love like StreamerBot is great because it hooks into like all of your alerts, and you can do, I guess, you can just have alerts that are a little bit more custom. Yeah, which I like. Like that's what I like is having stuff that's more custom, like customly made.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a cool tool. So to answer everyone's questions, we keep asking the pantsier. We did get our smart goals done within the week and stuff, and we did learn our new skills and look into it. Will we continue this segment? Maybe next week, but I'm not going to do it today because otherwise we have to follow up on it. And
we're all very busy at the moment, but yes.
Well, I think it's just we like to go on tangents in the podcast, and it's hard to keep coming back and remembering to like check in at the end. Like the Q&A, for example, we're jumping into the Q&A now, but like even that we missed for like 3 weeks. So we're at the 2 hour mark, so let's try and pump through some Q&A real quick.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
Lucky Noodle Fox, who's a chatter from my community, who's a legend, said some really lovely things about the podcast. He likes the length at the 2.5 hour mark that we did with Amaranth or whatever it was. He likes Nick's tenacity. Said Nick was cute. He thinks Nick's an amazing streamer, and it's a shame that he only found him recently. You're inspiring, Nicholas.
You made me cry.
He talks about how backseating is always frustrating because you want to see people have the organic stuff. Because we were talking about Smallland, who's currently playing. By the way, Smallland is currently playing Subnautica, so hopefully it's better for him today. And then he said, one question I have for you guys is, how do you get over the fear of self-promotion? I don't really promote myself for reasons like if I don't feel like my content is good enough. Do you have any tips on getting over the initial slope, and does it get easier? And my big tip here is that if you're providing value, it's not self-promotion. That's my thought process on this, right? Is like if I'm releasing a YouTube video that provides someone with information, comedy, whatever it is, the value that they get, then it's not self-promo to say that I'm live right now or do something like that. In fact, I would go so far as to say the only time it is self-promotion is if you are going into someone else's chat, their Discord or something like that, and posting like, hey guys, come check me out, without providing any real value. Will you ever get over the fear? No, because people will always get upset about ads. I still get people commenting things like, a minute and a half is when the video starts. And it's like, no, the video starts at 0 seconds, and I've got time codes that says when we get into the topic. But if you want more videos, then yeah, I'm going to introduce myself, spruik my Twitch channel, and do an ad read. You know, like, so you'll always get it. And I think the only way to get over it, provide value, know you've provided good value, and then just move through it. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's right? Isn't it? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
How can people get upset? Like I'm going to take the Twitch example. If you're watching Twitch and you want to learn more about this person, and the person you want to learn more about is like, I've got Twitter, I got Instagram, I got TikTok. What harm does that do anyone? You know, like it's literally giving them another avenue to hopefully find out what content you can make, and a different avenue for communication as well, if it is that. So self-promotion, yeah, it is cringy. Don't get me wrong. I hate doing it at times because you know that it's kind of like, yeah, this is me, this is what you want to do. But I think it's so pivotal. Like it's become commonplace to do it. So I think it's more of a mental thing, just to be like, yeah, this is me, deal with it. You know, like this is my channel. And if you want to learn more about me, here's the avenues to do so.
Yeah, I like it's like you want to bring attention to your other platforms. It's a calling to action. I love the way that you do it, Reapz. Like you made like the 2 custom scenes, which like, hey, if you want to like TikTok stuff, I'm over here. If you want to do YouTube stuff, like here. Yeah. Love that. I loved that the first time I saw that, and I think that's good. And you do it like, I think what you made like once or twice a stream, you might do that, like you know, so you don't bombard people with it. It's just like
I bombard them with the podcast as soon as it hits Monday, baby. I'm like, you know, we talked about this in the podcast, right? And blah blah blah, and then just get them over there. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like, and I sometimes will do it like I when I'm ending stream, I'll do like a little CTA, be like, hey guys, you know, if you like this stuff, check out the Twitter and blah blah blah. But even like in the middle of stream, sometimes I might just mention it when there's a little bit of a lull. But I think the amount of times like I'll do a call to action and be like, oh, you have TikTok or you have this? Oh, I'm gonna go. I'll follow you. You know, people don't know until you mention it.
Yep. I'll often try and if I feel like I'm at my highest point, or before I do something that I think will make me switch. So like, say I've got like 120, 130 average viewers while I'm doing just chatting. If I switch to the game, I know I'll probably drop down to like 105, maybe even lower, because some people just don't want to watch the game that I'm doing as a variety streamer, and that's fine. So before I switch, I'll usually try and spruik some of the other places like Discord and stuff like that, because that way they will still be able to come back if it's their first time and things like that. So I find promoting yourself and doing CTAs, it's just about finding the right time to do it where you're not interrupting the content, and you know what I mean. And don't consider it self-promo, just consider it a natural part of content creation, I would say.
Yeah,
definitely.
A follow-up question, or sorry, not follow-up question, a response to a question that we answered last week. So we answered Unknowing's question last week. He mentioned, or she, actually don't know. They mentioned that they didn't like Twitch chats. It felt like they were at work, sort of thing. And we had that big conversation about how like it's like, you know, well, why don't you like it? You know, are you watching the people who you're interested in? And they kind of came back, and it's a bit of a big one, so I will try to paraphrase it. They said that they think we hit the nail on the head about why they're not enjoying it, and they think that there are some streams that they're in that they do enjoy, and they think, yeah, I could do that, and they give it a go, but it doesn't fit them. But then there are other streams that I watch and they just don't enjoy, and that they're going to try explore more and see more Twitch streams and be a bit more open-minded into it. And they said that one of the reasons they feel like they maybe have not been so open-minded into it all was because a lot of their close friends who are streamers all have the grind mentality of just stream as much as you can and hope for a raid. And if they're hanging out in their streams or watching them, then it isn't fun to watch. And so they're instead going to break out of that and hopefully go check out some new streamers and find someone who they enjoy. Because they find people they enjoy, they're probably going to enjoy making similar content to those people.
Yes, you get inspired. Yeah.
Otherwise, the only thing you're grinding is your soul. Like that's it.
Oh, so deep. We need that on a shirt.
You're
Streamer grind
yourself.
is a soul grind.
You're doing an endurance is what you're doing, and nobody likes to watch endurance stuff. So yeah, go and find other people and get inspired.
Journey of self-discovery.
Catherine is just a lovely comment, no question, but they say, dudes, I bloody love the chemistry of you three guys. The beginning of this podcast had me in stitches. That's obviously because Reapz fucked up. I generally feel like I'm learning so much each and every episode. Appreciate the hard work, which is honestly so lovely.
Yeah, that is very sweet.
Catherine's lovely.
Apancia, hit us with the congrats to you guys. By the way, Pants, I was only memeing you earlier when I said following up about the questions and goals. Congrats to you guys for trying out new things, posting on TikTok. 2 weeks ago, I set a goal to post every day as well. They've been posting, and the one on Thursday got 80,000 views, which is awesome.
Damn, awesome.
Because of the goal they set, and they managed to get 1K followers on TikTok in just a few days. Some new viewers on Twitch, and they loved listening to this episode. I feel like you guys finally have time to sit down and talk about your streamer problems as mates. Very fun to listen, and also good exercise for me personally. A lot of ideas come to mind while listening. Thank you for responding to my comments. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to hear more about your results and the goals you set 2 episodes ago, winky face. Well, now you've heard it, Pants.
We got there.
And I think that is, honestly, that's the big takeaway for me as well, is I do like sitting down and chatting to you guys, because you can't really get a chance to, I don't really get to sit down and say to people like, fuck, I'm tired, and have anyone go, yeah, righto.
Yeah.
It's like therapy. It's literally just like content creator therapy.
It really
in a
is.
way.
Streamers
a little bit,
Anonymous,
honestly,
sure.
yeah. Rytoast, who's a fantastic chatter, hit us with some lovely words, but then he threw it out there as well. He wants to know, is it bad to niche down to a couple different ideas? Example, he wants to review games, but also do ranking videos. Like different but similar demographics, he assumes. If you do them back and forth week to week, would that hurt your channel's growth? And now I already answered him this in a reply, but just throwing it out there again on the podcast, is that I think people look at niches incorrectly. I think people look at niches and they look at niching down and they think it's like, oh, I do X type of content. No, I think that's my fault as well to a degree, that I think I pitched this wrong. And the best way to explain it these days is I say, you're not niching down to a type of content, you're niching down to a key demographic. And that means that if there's a certain group of people who love to watch one thing, you make content that appeals to those people who click it. For me, I make content that appeals to people who want to be streamers on StreamScheme. For Ioana, she makes content that appeals to people who like Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Nintendo. Small Ant, Pokemon, Nintendo, game challenges, those things are a key demographic. If you were going to do reviewing video games, you could either go super wide and review any video game, but you'd probably have more success if you focused on just kind of one niche section of video games. And then if you're going to rank things, you'd also rank things in the same demographic. So really easy example to give that I give people is you can do it where you review every single Nintendo account, a Nintendo game that releases, right? Oh, Arceus, here's what I think about Arceus, and here's if you should or shouldn't play it. Then if you want to do a ranking video, rank, the top 10 video games that Nintendo has released in each franchise, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's in the same demographic. But if you're doing video game reviews and then you're going to rank the best breakfast food, they're not the same demographic. There may be some overlap, but they're not the same. Is that a appropriate way to kind of explain it?
It makes complete sense.
100%. Yeah, legitimately.
As variety streamers, we're going to struggle. And if you want to have maximum growth, you have to niche. If you want to have the hard journey that we're going on, that is very unlikely to happen, variety. And we're very aware that we're doing it the hard way. But we also have other platforms.
Yes.
Otherwise, I think that's most of the questions. Breeze did ask me about the thing that came up last week about the chatter who brought up the fact that all the Pokemon people were children, and that I removed the comment and we moved on from the discussion because it was kind of like taking us down a route that I didn't want to take the stream's vibe down. And they asked, isn't that all the same as like getting rid of jokes you don't like? And is it okay to laugh at the weirdness of this channel when most of them are kids? And I had to explain essentially, and I will clarify here as well, that at the time of the conversation in that, we weren't saying the guy was weird because the fact that it was Pokemon or because the fact that most Pokemon are kids, right? We were laughing at the consistency of the channel. It was like 30 or 40 videos that were just entirely devoted to different rankings. and a lot of them were Pokemon, but there's also things on there like just different random genres, like the 10 hottest Digimon, right? And stuff like that. And we were laughing at the consistency about how he just had one style and was just focusing on that. No one there was sitting there thinking like of that side of things. And the same reason why if someone brings up war, politics, or any of those things, we'll remove that from our chat and say, hey, we don't talk about that here, is kind of the same reason why we chose to remove the message about the Pokemon tier list or whatever it was being underage, is because we don't want to take that route, because there are people in chat who are here to escape from thinking about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between laughing at a guy who just has one shtick, one niche that he's niched down into, and he does that content. And then there's another whole route we could go down to being like, this guy's a fucking freak. Look at these things. And that is where we draw the line. That's what I was trying to explain last week. And maybe I didn't get that across properly, but I hope that clarifies a bit better. Same reason when I do mansion tours, why I didn't react to David Dobrik's mansion tour. Because the guy has got a lot of things behind him that could very much trauma or trauma dump, or it's not trauma dump, trigger people's traumas or make people think about that. That's not my job. My job is to distract and make people laugh and entertain. And when those things come up, my job is then to calmly and carefully and in a good way that people don't notice, try and redirect the vibe down the appropriate pathway. And that goes for war, politics, bringing up stupid stuff in chat, bringing up that kind of thing. And the problem is that when you're a content creator, you're always going to stumble across landmines, is what I call them, where you don't think that this thing could come up, but someone in chat takes it and goes, hey, you know that thing happened with this. Like, if you didn't know about David Dobrik and you were doing mansion tours and you found David Dobrik and you start reacting to it and you don't know about it, there's probably going to be someone in your chat who goes, you know that guy's a fuckwit, right? You know he did terrible things, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't know. And at that point, it's your responsibility to move on from the conversation and try and take the vibe and try and take the pathway to a better conversation or a more entertaining conversation. If that's your jam, maybe your jam is you want to unpack trauma and all those kinds of things. That's not mine. So I hope that answers Breeze's question. Anyone else who may have thought about that in the appropriate way, is that there are landmines out there. And our goal as content creators is to, if we happen to step on them, move the conversation on, keep the good vibes rolling, and focus on making sure that we set a good example and allow people to have a break from the real world. Because a lot of the time people are here for entertainment, not to hear about politics, war, horrible things, or more drama and news and stuff like that.
Correct. Because if they want that, they'll go out and search for it. They'll go to Google and Twitter and whatever and search for it.
Or they'll come to chat and say, did you just hear X celebrity died right now while you're live?
Yeah.
That a lot.
Oh boy.
A lot. But hopefully today we dispelled some myths. If you've got some myths that you want kind of affirming or saying, you know, whatever, are they real? Are they not real? Please put it in the comments below. We would love to hear from you next week as well and hopefully answer some of them. But boys, it's been around 2 hours. Have we got any final words that you'd like to say before we head off for the day?
If you listen this long and you're in any of our chats at any point, I want you to say the code word, Gilgamesh has arrived. That's
Gilgamesh has arrived is the code word. If we see Gilgamesh has arrived, do we have to do something in particular? Should we make a pact here?
Yes, if someone comes into your chat and says Gilgamesh has arrived, you have to say, and we worship him.
All right, okay. So to those people who've stuck with us for this long in this podcast, first of all, thank you so much. Consider subscribing, liking, all that kind of stuff. And we will say, and we worship him. Is that correct? That's our thing.
If you can, with the voice.
Okay.
I'm gonna forget.
Gilgamesh has arrived, and we worship him is from us. Okay. I put in my pact. I will do that for the next week. Afterwards, boom. All right.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.
We are dropping frames. We have hope you had a lovely week, but we'll see you again next week for more crazy stream room shenanigans. And again, thank you all. Have a lovely time. Bye-bye now.
Bye. See you next time on Twitch Busters.